Gaming news today is all about disappointment. First, the Steam Machine price has landed, and it's quite a bit higher than most were hoping for, especially for hardware that is slightly weaker on paper than 6-year-old consoles. More than that, all the boasting and promising about 4K 60 gaming is looking a bit more like a machine that's going to land more consistently in the 1440 territory while leaning heavily on FSR to help it achieve good frame rates. Second, a verified Microsoft employee left a worrying message on the platform called Blind, and while it does confirm and reinforce some of the gaming world's fears that some studios are going to be closed down, there are some that are included that are raising some eyebrows, and some of them just don't make sense. We're going to try and theorize as to what it all means. Third, the PlayStation 6 timing is now squarely in the headlines, along with pricing speculation, not just because of the Steam Machine, but because two insiders who tend to butt heads are actually agreeing on the PlayStation 6 timing. So if you like this kind of content and you're watching this later, this was a live stream that went live at noon Eastern. Periodically, my schedule is shifting a bit on me, and I have to go live at noon instead of in the morning. I hope you don't mind, and if you do like that timing and you like the content, make sure to hit subscribe and the bell button and the like button. And if you want to support me directly, you can click join to get into my members-only Discord, as well as the green room content that we do in there. So let's start with the first major story. So the Steam Machine price dropped, and folks are, well, shocked and unhappy. More than that, hands-on reviews are showing performance to be a little less than the now seemingly overpriced 4K 60 gaming experience that was being thrown around when the gaming system was first announced. And when it comes to the price and the hardware, two different hardware leakers are claiming that the price point doesn't really line up with what's on the inside of the device. So we have three big things to fly over here: the price reaction, the performance, and the reason for the inflated price. So obviously the price reaction has been largely negative for a handful of reasons. It's slightly weaker than 6-year-old consoles. You could build your own PC for the same amount and get a lot more power, and even pre-built PCs at places like Best Buy look more impressive for the same amount of money, or maybe even less money. And what about performance? Well, it's largely landing in the 1440 territory. Mileage per game may vary, but FSR seems to be a must for most games to hit good FPS. Obviously, the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro comparisons are cropping up, especially for PlayStation games, and the results are squarely in favor of the consoles. Even the base PS5 is looking better on basically every PlayStation game. Now, context is needed there. Those games are coded to the metal of the PlayStation 5, and they're seemingly going to have an easier time performing there. But it does sort of put to bed a lot of the notions that this device was going to be very competitive against the consoles themselves. But what about that high price, as well as the hardware commentary within it? Both Kepler and Moore's Law is Dead, these are two prominent hardware leakers, they are in agreement about the price point. They think this is greed. Now, that's either greed on Valve's part or greed on the suppliers. Kepler took to Twitter to say the following: either Valve has a fat profit margin on the Steam Machine, or they're getting absolutely rinsed by the suppliers. And then Moore's Law is Dead retweeted and agreed, stating that, quote, "This is what I've been saying. This is well beyond RAMapocalypse pricing. This is likely fat profit margins for Gabe's next mega yacht. I don't believe they are getting ripped off this badly. I don't." So Moore's Law is Dead seems to think that, yes, this is grossly overpriced, and this is not because they're getting rinsed or fleeced by the suppliers. This is a choice that they made to give themselves their own nice profit margin on the device. And maybe that's true. There are likely very early adopters and people that are going to buy this no matter what, because they love Valve and they love Steam. When it came to the hands-on reviews and thoughts, Linus Tech Tips has a video that is the #1 trending video on YouTube right now for gaming. It took off like a rocket. He thinks this thing is well designed, but also that the high price point and the 4K gaming performance limitations make it a hard sell compared to something like the PS5. He thinks that given the price of parts, the machine is reasonable but still too high to be considered a consumer-friendly value. When it comes to the target audience, he sees it as appealing only to Valve diehards rather than something that would cross over into the mainstream market. And the price is something he sees similar to everyone else. Had it been closer to $800 and had they avoided the over-promised 4K 60 gaming claims, the reception would have been a bit more positive. So as it stands, the Steam Machine looks like a very niche product, not just because of the price, but because of the performance that it offers. Keep in mind, prior to the release, Valve said that the Steam machine is better than 70% of what PC gamers have at home, which really makes you wonder, will that user base see this as a compelling offer? Given the performance that it has, I highly doubt it, given that consoles are about half the price and they're slightly stronger than this thing. Many have been quick to say that Sony and Microsoft are going to follow suit. But a big piece of that puzzle that is missing from the knee-jerk commentary is that Sony and Microsoft can subsidize. Now, it is hard to say what Xbox will do with future hardware given their recent statements and commentary. That all seems to be a bit in upheaval. But it's clear that PlayStation is headed toward a PlayStation 6, with Mark Cerny and the partnership with AMD and Project Amethyst, as well as all the hardware leaks that are out there. Their ability to subsidize is a huge advantage, along with their ability to order parts at a scale that Valve probably can't do. Valve specifically actually spoke to this in a Verge interview about why they could not subsidize the Steam machine. They said, quote, "The traditional console model is to sell hardware at a loss and make up the revenue with subscription services or by selling games that are locked to the hardware. We think this can make sense for single businesses in the short term, but that open ecosystems are better for customers over the long term." So basically, you're going to spend an awful lot of money for this thing, but it's not a closed system and you don't have to help us subsidize it by paying for subscriptions or games. Although the assumption is you would buy this and then buy games from them, so I'm not quite sure why they don't think they could make the money back. They also stress that you shouldn't feel like you have to buy their hardware, which, similar to the subscription comment and selling games locked to the hardware, it seems like a bit of a dig at consoles. They said, quote, "You shouldn't feel like you have to buy Valve hardware. You should be able to view it as just one option along all devices for playing games and select the one that makes sense for you. This means you get to decide which device fits your personal trade-offs around things like price, performance, form factor, peripheral support, and everything else that you care about. That's the strength of the open PC platform, and subsidizing hardware runs counter to it." So I don't expect this device will reach far outside of being a niche offering to the most hardcore users, and the console market is likely going to see no disruption from this entering the market at all. And Microsoft's worry about the Steam OS, and probably I think is still worth maintaining to a degree, but I doubt the Steam machine will disrupt that ecosystem very much either. So buy one if you can afford it, but keep your performance expectations in check, along with your hopes that this thing was going to take over the living room. But that's just what I think. I'd love to hear what you think. You can leave a comment below or make sure you're here for my live streams. And that's not the only thing in the headlines. We've got a very strange leak about Xbox. A strange development has taken place while we wait for confirmation about what Xbox studios are going to be closed and how many layoffs are going to be happening. An anonymous post from someone named AlphaCat64 showed up on the internal corporate platform called Blind. Now, in order to post there, as they did, and where they did, you have to verify your Microsoft employment. So apparently, this is somebody who works at Microsoft. Here is what they claim. They said Xbox Game Studios equal cooked. Big game week coming up for Xbox Game Studios. Full studio closures for Compulsion Games, Ninja Theory, Flight Simulator Team, World's Edge, which is who makes Age of Empires, and then Double Fine. Now, you might notice something strange there. The Flight Sim team is listed, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Asobo is not owned by Microsoft, and they even publish games like the new Plague Tale game that's coming out with Focus Entertainment. And Asobo is the team that works on Flight Sim. But within Xbox Game Studios, there apparently is a team that supports and helps with Flight Simulator, and it could be referring to them. This could also be similar to when we've seen contracts and funding changes take place that ultimately leads to teams being disbanded or studios being closed. I don't see that happening with Asobo, given that they have current publishing deals with things like the new Plague Tale game. But it could be that they're no longer getting funding from Microsoft, as maybe they see Flight Sim as far too expensive to publish, given the return on the game probably isn't that great. And that could mean that the team at Asobo that works on Flight Sim may be facing a layoff, or it could be that Microsoft has their own team at Xbox Game Studios that is also then being disbanded and closed. Now, the leaker went on to say that, quote, Halo is safe, Gears 2, most of the layoff numbers come from entire studio closures. But here's the rub. They're claiming like 1,000 employees are going to be laid off. Well, all the studios that they listed added up don't equal to that many people. So either there's a ton more studios that are going to be closed to get to that 1,000 number, or there's going to be so many layoffs across the board at all these other studios that they make up the remaining, number to get to 1,000. Now, here's the thing. Some people are pushing back and claiming that this is totally false, that this is made up and this is not true. My caution would be this. They did the same thing earlier this year. People were quick to dismiss rumors of layoffs, saying Xbox would experience no layoffs this year, and that is obviously not true. Either way you shake it, the source is pointing to what we all know is coming. When we roll over into July of 2026, the Xbox Studios list is going to be quite a bit lighter. And that's what I think on the matter. I'd love to know what you think. Is this likely coming down? What do we think of this leak and this rumor? You can leave a comment below, and then always make sure to swing by a live stream for those live discussions. But that's not the only story left here that is also causing a bit of a stir. The timing of the PlayStation 6 continues to be in doubt as rumors swirl about it being pushed back. For a while, the presumed release date was late 2027 due to leaked contracts and production timelines. When I reported on this in the past, someone that I trust said that these sorts of timelines actually don't move very easily because everything from warehouse locations that have been booked and billed for or contracted, and then there's also the inventory that has to take up physical space once the consoles are made. Once these things are set in motion, they can't be pushed back very far. So, I, for one, have thought that 2028 or 2029 was more likely to be the release years for the next PlayStation, and that was even before the RAM crisis. I just felt like they would want to extend this gen due to the slow rollout during the pandemic. And the current hardware situation is ripe for caution as well as slowdown. Hiroki Totoki even said they were sort of looking at their plans and reassessing. But two industry leakers that have been known to butt heads in the past are in agreement. The PlayStation 6 is still on pace for 2027. Moore's Law is Dead has explained that it would be more costly to delay the launch than to release it in 2027 due to their partnership with TSMC and other component makers. Now, this seems to kind of corroborate what I was told, that it's going to be costly and difficult, and it's not super easy to delay something like this. Basically, it's not worth delaying it. It would cost more to do that than to just keep pressing forward under the current sort of RAM crisis and hardware crisis. Now, Kepler, another notable hardware insider that gets lots of good information, well, Kepler seems to agree as well, indicating with a nope GIF, or animated GIF, or whatever you call them. This was said in response to reports claiming that Sony was considering pushing back the PlayStation 6 launch to 2028 or 2029. There's also the handheld rumors that's supposed to be coming sometime this year, between this year and next year. And the recent Steam machine pricing has many think that the PlayStation 6 will be $1,000. But PlayStation's ability to subsidize and order at volume should give them significant pricing advantages over the Steam machine. And the fact that many are pointing that the Steam machine is overpriced to begin with, considering what's actually inside, and Moore's Law is Dead and Kepler both agreed on that point. You can basically build PCs for way cheaper and get way better internal peripherals than the Steam machine. At some level, I think that's kind of damning for Valve and what they've put out there. It also alleviates some of the concerns about future PlayStation 6 price point. But that's just what I think about this particular topic. You can let me know what you think in the comments below, or show up to a live stream, which we're in one right now. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Be sure to hit that like button. We're already at 100 likes, so try to get us to 200 likes. A variety of things to talk about. Obviously, the front burner being the Steam machine pricing has everybody pretty much in a bit of a tizzy, and I have to get the goal up here. You guys are kind of already going crazy, so let me get the goal going and start adding to the total. You guys are amazing with the consistent support. Joker Quinn, Han shot first, and so did you. The first gifted of the day to get us to 110. I Am Melee's going to double dip with the Prime on Purple for 32 months, as well as 54 months on a VIP on YouTube. DK Bager is going to gift a member, and then Jerry A is going to gift a member after doing a super chat. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat where he says he hugs his PS5 and PS5 Pro. And then a 5-bomb comes in from Ginger Prime himself. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And we do have a guest coming to the show in about 2 hours, so stick around for that. Talking about all the various things going on and breaking down the various subjects. There is a lot to talk about. And if you guys miss it, I did upload a video about the Steam machine price. I called it a disaster, obviously, because I was expecting to get one and excited to get one, and the gaming price and where performance is landing, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know now, because anytime I would venture into something that isn't like a little AA indie title or something like a Mugenics or a Slay the Spire, I feel like I'm going to get such diminished performance, I might not want it. I remember cautioning people about all of the promises for the 4K gaming. I'm sorry, the 4K 60 gaming. I was like, I think that promise is a little too ambitious. I told people to kind of be cautious about that. And Brian, thank you for 36 months, getting us to 120. We're a 5 bomb away from 125. It'll be the first member that I owe you guys today. Thank you very much. Gabe's coming on the show. Yes, I got Gabe to come on the show and explain. No, that's not who I got. Why can't Steam subsidize the Steam machine? They said they can. I don't get why they said they can't. I don't get it. Do you want to know my honest opinion? I kind of formulated this opinion like while I was doing the show open. I think Valve knows their hardcore fans and their early adopters. I think they know they'll pay it, and I think they know they can make all that money off of them. And I think they didn't want to have it subsidized, because if they lowered the price and had it subsidized, you would have people buying it that are not interested in buying games or interacting with Steam. They'd be buying it as like a little cheap workstation, and then you wouldn't be making the money back on it. Like, I think there's kind of two elements going on here. If they subsidized it, they would market it, unfortunately, to a user base that might never spend a dime in the Steam storefront. At its current price, it's only going to appeal to people who are probably going to use it to actually engage with Steam. Does that make sense? They can't subsidize because it isn't locked hardware. You could buy it and never buy anything from Steam. You aren't locked in. That's exactly right. And I think at its current price point, it's only going to appeal to people that are going to spend money in their marketplace. Like, if you lower the price point to $800, you'd have a lot of people buy this as a workstation, and then they're not getting any money from the consumer. They're not spending any money in the Steam storefront. Like, I think that's literally what they landed on. Like, if we subsidize this and we lower the price, we're going to appeal to a consumer that's not really interested in this thing to play games on. Thank you, Snake Eyes, for a 40 stream streak, and thank you, Eldest One, for a 7 stream streak over there on Purple. Valve explained why they don't subsidize in this article. I quoted that article in the show open. Thank you. Yes, I know. They basically said that they don't subsidize because they go for an open platform policy. They say traditionally how you subsidize is you lock somebody into a storefront or you make money back on like a subscription service. They don't do that. So they basically are like, if we would have thrown this thing out here for $800, there would have been a bum rush to buy it as a cheap workstation, and a bunch of the people that bought it wouldn't have given us any money after the fact. They wouldn't have bought any games. They'd have been like, well, that's a really nice cheap workstation that I can put on my desk. And then now it's only going to appeal to people that are going to use it to interact with Valve. It's only going to really appeal to people that are diehard Valve fans. I honestly think that's what they're doing. I think they're going to make a ton of money on it. They have a good margin baked into it because they know the early adopters and the Valve fans are going to buy it. Social Destruct with a $5 super chat. The Star Wars Galactic Racing impressions have been lifted today and it's getting praise. Looks fantastic. I told you guys that game had a bit of a vibe, didn't it? I was like, I don't even play racing games and I want to play that game. It should be thought of as a beefy mini PC, not a small gaming PC. Did you mean to say it would have? I'm serious. I think that if they would have tried to subsidize it, they would have found that a lot of people buying it weren't buying it for gaming. When you price it as the way that it's priced, you're only primarily going to land in the hands of diehard fans who are actually going to then use it for a gaming machine, and they're going to continue to be in Valve's ecosystem. If you're outside of Valve's ecosystem and you see this thing hit the market for $800 and you're in the market for a nice little workstation and you don't want to buy like a pre-built for, $1,000 to $1,200, you're like, oh, that thing's $800. I think I'll get that. I mean it. I think this is quite literally targeted at their most hardcore supporters because they know they'll buy it for that price point and then they'll make a profit on it. Now, they could obviously drop the price later. They could obviously, do some kind of a slow lowering of the price over the years like we've seen with other things, but like Galactic Racer's a rogue as well. Yeah, Kirk, I saw your DM, but I was getting ready to start the show, so I couldn't reply. That actually sounds really appealing to me. Because it already had the Star Wars vibe, and it already kind of had me hooked just from the looks of it. But if it's got like a rogue element, that might actually get me into the content loop of it, because just racing for the sake of racing is something that I commonly, get a little burned out by. If you want that, you buy one of the many, many PCs now available. Some of them are pretty powerful and better suited to workstation roles. Maybe they weren't concerned about people buying it for a workstation, but again, maybe they were concerned about people buying it and not really using Steam. If that was a concern, maybe they just weren't confident. Because here's what sounds weird to me, for them to be like, well, we don't want to subsidize it because we don't lock you, to a particular storefront or whatever. But it's like, do you really think the average person buying a Steam machine isn't going to be buying Steam games? Like, was that an actual concern that they had? You know what I mean? Is that an actual concern? That like people were going to buy this thing and like, what, use Epic and GOG and never touch your storefront? Like, I just don't know. That seems a little strange to me. Maybe they were worried at that price point it would open up the market to it a little bit and increase the likelihood of consumers coming in and not really using it for Steam. I just don't know. I don't see a master plan. I see incompetence in hardware logistics. Both Moore's Law is Dead and Kepler are like, this is not priced correctly in accordance to what's inside it. It just isn't. And I remember telling people I'd be cautious with all this, it's 4K 60, it's going to be better than the PS5. I was like, I'd slow down there, Cowboy. Not Cowboy the creator, just as a term. I'd slow down there, Turbo. You're probably not going to be doing a lot of 4K 60 gaming on this. I watched a hands-on review, and virtually every game was performing fine, but it was usually at 1440. They were messing with the settings, maybe lowering things, and then heavily leaning on things like FSR. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that, but that also isn't that impressive for the price. Like, you're spending a pretty high amount of money for something that is getting inferior performance to like 6-year-old consoles. Yo, Petrov, thanks for jumping in with the Member Plus, getting us to 121 on the week. Kirk says if they don't know the way Xbox is going, they might have been concerned that prior to Xbox's direction that people might just buy it as a de facto Xbox. Seems likely under Asha. I don't know if they made any moves in accordance to what Xbox is doing. I don't know. The PS5 Pro is looking even better now. Well, I mean, I anticipate everybody that called the Pro a scam to be extra mad about this. Like, I mean, people called the Pro a scam, right? So then they should call this a super scam. This is a mega pint. This is, like, if the Pro is a scam, what's this thing? I mean, Jiminy Christmas. Like, you literally can build your own PC for the same amount of money and get a lot more performance and get a lot better hardware. The pricing doesn't even make any sense. At a consumer level, you can do a better job. It doesn't make any sense. Hollow Judgment with 46 months. I think subsidizing it would not look good for their monopoly lawsuit. You're going to have to elaborate on that. You know what I mean? You're going to have to elaborate on that. The PS5 Pro scam crowd, where are they now? That's what I'm saying, dude. Where are all those PC Master Race boys that were like, don't buy the PS5 Pro, buy a $1,400 PC from Best Buy that's not as strong? Like, I remember those days. Y'all remember those days. I wonder what they think of this. I wonder what people think about their Lord and Savior Gabe. Where's all the pro-consumer diatribes? Where are they today? I always said, these companies don't like you. They like your money. You know what I mean? They're not being kind to you. They like your money. So maybe people are slowly realizing that all of these companies are basically the same. They want money. For what it is, the Steam machine should be $500 to $600, says Mediocre Milton. 57 months from Rissick and a VIP. Hello from the Bahamas. We'll enjoy the Bahamas, you lucky duck. $2 super chat from Glassdoor Gamer says Banana Man has gone MIA. I'm not really sure what you're talking about. What are you talking about? MIA? I think indies and smaller projects or games helped with the heavy use of AI will be more the standard. But I do wonder if we see people upgrade from the PS4 to the PS5 with this year's COD if they don't. I mean, if they don't, they'll definitely do it for GTA 6. This guy says, you sound like a male feminist. You sound like somebody that's allergic to deodorant. I mean, the device itself, I remember being like, oh, this is going to solve problems for me. Like, I could put this in my living room, and then I can play Mugenics or Slay the Spire, too, you know, or Witchfire. But with the performance reads that we're seeing from the hands-on reviews, I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know, dude. Like, am I going to want to play something like Witchfire on here, or am I going to have to tweak settings? Am I going to deal with any frame rate issues and stuff like that? That'd be the question. I swear some of y'all watch on mute. He ended it, I'm assuming that's just some PC Master Race guy malding in the chat. He doesn't know me. He's like, you're straight, white, married guy with 2 kids and a seminary degree. You sound like a male feminist. It's like telling somebody that their truck, you know, their diesel truck sounds like a hybrid running off electricity and the car's in park. And you're like, huh? He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's okay. He's having a rough day. Their Lord and Savior has betrayed them. Jerry A. with a $2 super chat says, 1K and they couldn't include a controller. Lono getting called a male feminist was not on my bingo card. That's got to be a milestone. He's achieved ethereal levels of consulting a woman. That's right. I am everything. I had people leaving comments on my video and they thought I was like a PC fanboy. They were like, you're just defending Valve because it's your favorite company. And I'm like, huh? Like, basically because I said this isn't as simple as greed. I said there is a memory situation that played a role. Like, they couldn't get the 2 8-gig sticks that they wanted. Like, the RAM crisis almost made this thing not even happen, right? It's like it didn't even happen. But it's like there clearly is a greed angle. I wasn't saying that greed wasn't a part of it at all. I was like, I don't think it's as simple as greed. I think there were factors at play here that they could be getting fleeced by suppliers. Maybe the suppliers knew they were in a weakened position and they were like, yeah, we're going to put you over the barrel because we know you can afford it. You know what I mean? You ain't no diesel truck. Don't dig too deep in the analogy. You're going to hurt yourself. I was saying the chasm between me and a male feminist is the chasm between a diesel truck and a car running on electricity. Like, we are that different. Like, I wasn't saying I was a diesel truck, okay? The analogy was to show you the differences between the two things. You know, there's a big difference. Can't lie. Lono, always thought you were a PC Master Race guy. Nah, you just into games. You thought I was a PC Master Race guy? What content did you watch that made you think that? The PC guys don't like me at all. They get very upset when I talk about PC. If I start talking about the price of building a PC, they all wet their bed and run to eBay and PC Part Picker to be like, I can build a PC for $625.17 if I borrow it from my mom and get a GPU stolen from my friend. Like, they get very upset when I talk about PC anything, brother. They don't like it at all. They will put together a PC with duct tape to prove me wrong. They don't like it. They don't. None of them were able to build a rig as good as a PS5 Pro for $700, though. They all failed to do that. It was too hard for them. You know what I mean? $5 super chat from Glassdoor Gamer says, if PCs were able to be as easy as consoles for the average person, every console would have been a PC decades ago. You can't add a front end to PC OS. I'm not quite sure what you're refuting or arguing against. Somebody in chat, maybe? I'm not sure what you mean. Don't forget the parts a friend let them have. Yeah, I was able to build this PC for $700. My friend gave me the case and the GPU, and I stole the power supply from Best Buy. Like, oh wow, what an amazing deal you found. Good job. As he's shooting at him right now. Yeah, I don't know what content you've ever watched of mine that made you think I was PC Master Race. I changed a power supply in my computer once, and it was a big day for me. It was. I felt like I had landed something on the moon. I mean, it was a big achievement. I mean, I'm obviously exaggerating. I built PCs in high school and college. I just got tired of it. I don't like that world. I don't like it. The people are a little weird, you know. I've been to the big LAN parties. I went to one here in Louisville. Everybody smells funny. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Y'all are not my people. I don't know. I commented on the vid, but I think Steam Machine is worth it for you. Would solve all your couch co-op problems, and the specs fine because you aren't playing Gears on this thing. BH with 57 months and a VIP. Let me get you on the board there. 124. Let's build a PC live. Let's do it. Let's do it. Wait, I did. I bought PCs that were already made. That's how I build them. I push a button, you know what I mean? And my credit card builds it. It's what's wonderful. It's the best. You can build a PC that's better than the Steam Machine and cheaper. It's true. It's true. I think that's why people are so ticked. They're like, the PC boys are like, Wait a minute. I could build something better than this for less money. What the heck are you doing? Like, this is why I do think, like, hardcore Valve boys will buy it. But I do see this thing potentially landing in a bit of a valley. It's intended to make PC gaming super easy and streamlined for the living room. But it's priced for an enthusiast. And an enthusiast is going to know, I can build something better than this. That you see it on. You see the problem? Let's go, but not for the Steam Machine. 4 months from Danny Owen gets us to 125. Thank you so much. I owe you guys a member over there on YouTube. Guys, keep smashing away at that like button and keep that member goal going. If you've never done a membership before on YouTube, it's easy. It's $5 a month, and then you get into the green room. That's a secret society at the end of every day, and that's you don't know. That's all you get to know. So pay up if you want to be a part of that. And if you can't do a membership, hit that like button. That's a daily ritual that you guys can do that helps me out. Do you see what I mean, though? It's kind of landing in a valley. It's like, okay, hang on a minute. It's meant to target people who want, like, the ease of use of they want a game in their living room on a PC. But you've got it priced for an enthusiast. Well, an enthusiast is going to be like, now hang on a minute. If I'm going to spend that kind of money, I could spend it on a pre-built PC, and it would be stronger. I think that's the problem. It's just like, as soon as you start target the enthusiast consumer knows enough to know this doesn't seem priced properly. And the casual that's like, oh, I'd like the PC game in my living room is going to look at the price and be like, yeah, I don't think so. That's too much. Watching old podcasts on YouTube gets the worst ads. I get 45 in 1 hour show and ads support the podcast. It's ridiculous. I need you guys to help me with that. When that happens, leave a comment to remind me. It's really difficult because YouTube auto places them. And if I forget to go back and delete a bunch of them because I'm busy, like, you get obliterated. So anytime you're watching my content, if you feel like that's happening, leave a comment. I'll see the comment. Creature will see the comment. We'll go to that broadcast and we'll try to delete them. It's just one more part of my daily ritual that falls off the radar because it's like we go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, and then I'm at dinner with the kiddos, and it's just like I always forget to do it. But they do it automatically, and it's absurd. But yes, I don't want that for you. I don't want that to be your experience watching my content. So try to remind me and help me out there. I just buy HDMI switches, multi-box, and high-quality HDMI cords. I have my PC on every TV in my home. I used to build PCs for many years myself, but there came a point where price, time, and nuance of the tech advancements made it clear buying pre-built is the way to go for 90% of my needs. A lot of people have started to do that. They're just like, yeah, I'll just go pre-built. Can you define enthusiast? I'm not an enthusiast. I'm something far more silly. What does a normal enthusiast spend on? What's important to them? I'm sort of out of touch here. So, to me, an enthusiast, Petrov, didn't you already resub? Why does it let you guys do that? That's so weird. Yeah, I'm not adding it because you just did it. Thank you for the 17 months. I'm not frustrated with you, by the way. YouTube should let you do that one time, not twice. That's weird. So, an enthusiast to me is somebody who looks at this and is like, I'm willing to spend that kind of money to have more equipment. Like, that's an enthusiast. Like, you game enough on Steam and you spend enough on the gaming hobby to be like, oh, $1,300, $1,000 to $1,300. Yeah, I'll spend that for more equipment for my gaming experience. But the problem is, the minute you target that individual, they're going to look at this thing's performance and say, I mean, I could build something that's better. I could buy a pre-built that's better. The minute you're not talking to an enthusiast, you're talking to somebody who's more like upset that a PS5 Pro is $900. You're talking to that audience, you're talking to the console guys, or you're talking to the more mid-lane person that's like, yeah, maybe I have a gaming laptop or I have an older PC. I like the idea of buying a Steam machine for my living room. That person's going to look at $1,000 to $1,300 and they're going to go, what? That seems too expensive. Like, if they haven't bought a pre-built for about that much money, why would they be willing to spend that much money for this thing? Maybe just for the ease of use. I don't know. Do enthusiasts build their own machines, or does it include people that buy pre-builts? Really asking. I don't know. I don't have bright lines here. I'm just speaking very generically. Like, what I'm saying is, in big, broad terms, the principle I'm applying is, the Steam machine was meant to solve something for people who would like to PC game in their living room, but they don't want to buy pre-built or build something and put it in the living room. They don't want to do that. They want the plug-and play. They want to push the button. They're basically wanting the console experience with PC in their living room. That's what they want. Okay? That's what this device seemed to be targeting. But it's priced in a way that I think you're pricing those people out of the equation. They're like, yeah, I'm not spending that much money. Well, I'm not spending that much money to PC game in my living room. Like, I've seen PC. Think of it from this perspective. They've seen PCs like that already. They've been in Best Buy. They've seen PCs for $1,200, for $1,100. Like, this price threshold they're familiar with. It's like, yeah, I could walk into Best Buy right now and buy a PC for that much. You know what I mean? Like, so when you leave those people behind that are like, yeah, I'm not willing to spend that much money on a PC. I'm not really going to do that. Well, then who are you left with? Well, you're left with the people who are more of like the enthusiast style, where they probably have a decent PC right now. They probably have a Steam library. They were probably paying attention to gaming coverage and they knew when this thing dropped. David Hudat, thank you so much for 28 months. Let me add it to the total. Zubair says PC building is a separate hobby from PC gaming. It's a Venn diagram, though. I see these as overlapping. There are people that are sort of in the enthusiast hemisphere where they're willing to spend over $1,000 on a pre-built, but then there's also people that are kind of in this hemisphere of like, yeah, I'll try to build my own. They're all overlapping. They're not the person that like wanted plug-and-play PC in the living room console experience for, $700-800. You know what I mean? Peace and War 1957 over there on Twitch with a Prime in 2 months. Could you unblock me? I don't know who the frick you are. Well, again, Lono, it was originally $650 to $700. At that point, it would have been worth it. It's really crazy to a $300 increase. Where are you getting that price point, Greg? Who said it was going to be $650 to $700? You said it was originally going to be that. Where are you getting this information? There was tons of speculation flying around back then, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. My point is that building a PC is not required to be a true PC gamer. I hate that noise. Oh, well, certainly not. There are so many people right now looking at this thing and asking the question, is it worth it? Now, their value hierarchy is going to be different. There's a value hierarchy of the guy that builds. There's a value hierarchy of the guy willing to buy pre-built. And then there's a value hierarchy of the guy that was like on the fence. Like he's console, he's never really done the PC thing, or maybe he did in the past, or again, he didn't want to go through the trouble of trying to put a PC in the living room. All those people are asking the same question. Is this worth it? And they're going to determine, according to their value hierarchy, whether or not it's worth it. So let's think about the guy that builds his own PCs. Probably not. He's going to be like, I could build a better thing. For that much money, I could build something better. For the guy buying pre-builts, but I don't know. Probably not. He's going to be like, I don't know. I could get a pre-built that's stronger than that for about the same amount of money. The guy in sort of the valley, in sort of the middle ground of like, you know, I console game, or maybe I PC game before, maybe my PC's kind of old. I was thinking about getting this for my living room. I don't think a lot of these people are going to land on this and be like, yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping for. This fits into my value hierarchy. That's older price info from people leaking. I don't know if any of the price leaks on the Steam machine were ever like validated by anybody. I think it was just I don't know. So I was very hesitant to believe a lot of those leaks. Or they could just watch your video on it. I'm not sure I know what you mean. What do you mean they could watch my video on it? The builder's already built an ITX machine for the living room and installed Bazite on it. That's what I mean. All across the spectrum of potential people that were going to buy this thing, they all have their value hierarchy. I don't see a lot of those value hierarchies landing on this thing. If you're a builder, you're like, I could build something way better for the same amount of money. If you're happy to buy a pre-built, well, you're going to look at pre-builts and say, I either have a pre-built that's better, or I could buy a pre-built that's better and spend about the same amount of money. And then if you're more in the middle ground, you're more of the sort of like, hey, I like the console game. I wasn't too sure I was keen on this thing. I like the idea of having access to Steam in my living room, but it's not priced like a console. People in the console hemisphere are going to be like, it's not priced like a console. People in the pre-built hemisphere are going to be like, pre-builts are better value right now. The people with the frickin' know how to build are going to be like, why would I buy that? I can build something better. They could watch your video on the Steam box pricing. How would my video help them? I'm curious what your line of reasoning is, Gonkid. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not catching what you're saying. It's your point's eluding me. I think you're just dealing with like limited text, so you're trying to make your point quickly. You're using less word when more word be good. It's like the Kevin episode in The Office. Doc Dark says his Walmart PC was better. I mean, yeah, probably. Even though it kept overheating. If you want to play modern games on PC, I would not recommend spending under $2,000, says Loot. If you play single-player games and play free-to-play online games, the PS5 is the best way to gain. No subscription needed. This guy says you need to cut back on the ads. I don't do anything on Twitch. It's all automated. If you sub, you'll never see them. So if you watch me on a regular basis over there, $5 gets you past all the ads. So I don't even monitor that over there. I just set it and forget it. Bottom line, pay Playboy, you can't get your money back. Are we getting paid to fix money? Could care less. I have come. Is there a link to that? Low. I don't even. Yeah, here we go. I tell you what, that's all you ever show up and do. Here you go. Enjoy the band. You just show up and complain about the ads and laugh at what I'm saying. So there you go. I'm going to spare you the hassle of even typing about the ads now. Either way, you go, someone out there will buy it and mod it, kind of like Xboxes were. It also doesn't play esports games with anti-cheat. The audience for this, Steam-based, but doesn't AAA game on the PC, has deep pockets, doesn't want to build themselves, really hates Windows, wants a tiny box. That's a niche, isn't it? It's a niche of a niche, ain't it? I mean, again, that's kind of how I closed the show open. I was like, I just think it's a niche item, and that's fine. I mean, if they want to make a niche item and people buy it and enjoy it, great, good for you. I just don't know. I don't know if I'm even gonna buy one now. It's like I would want to see, because it seems like the games that run really well on it are games that you would expect to run well. Like RE9 ran great, Cyberpunk ran great. These are games that have gone through, either good, really, really good optimization or a significant amount of updates to make sure they run well. Then there are other games where, they gotta put it to 1440, they gotta lower some stuff, they gotta lean on FSR, and they're not having that out of the box 4K 60 experience that everybody thought they were going to get. Like, I would like it for games like Mugenics and Slay the Spire. I know it would meet those needs. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, right? But then when you get into games like Witchfire or Echo Point Nova, which is another game on Steam I'd love to play, I'm like, am I going to be dealing with diminished performance? Am I going to be dealing with inconsistent frame rate? Am I going to be dealing with, like, having to lean on a bunch of stuff that, like, I just don't want to have to do that. That's the last thing I want to do. Now, I'm not a hardware guy. When this thing was announced, I didn't go look at the hardware. I didn't set my expectations around, any kind of hardware knowledge. I was just like, that's what I would like that thing to do for me. People are looking at the hardware now, and they're like, this isn't very impressive. This isn't very impressive. And it's like, that's fine. I mean, that's their choice. If that's what people are going to buy it and use it for, great. But I don't know if my use case lands on this now. If you want to play AAA games, get the console. It's just a better value, and you get better experience at this point, says Zubair. 500 gigs for the 1,000 price tag. I mean, if you're playing COD, what other games can you even put on there? Yeah, I can't imagine the Call of Duty audience being, driven to buy this. Most of them are just going to be continuing to game on the console. I got an HP 1650 Super. I can upgrade the GPU to a 3060 with no issues, and it'll still play a lot of games at decent performance. You can still get one of those HP PCs for around $600. Steam Machine, no thank you, says Collide. I have a rig now that I spent $800 for 1440 gaming without a GPU, huh? I'll spend on the GPU for my AMD. I can buy 2 PS5s with disk drives and 2 controllers for 1 Steam machine. Yeah, it gets a little, again, I would say it gets a little damning when you start to add up all the other things you can buy for the price of 1 Steam machine. Almost every big modern game uses kernel level anti-cheat and requires Windows. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's another snag that people are going to be running into, right? They're not going to be able to play some of those games on this because it's not targeting that. And again, that's fine. Like, I don't know if, like, a super serious Valorant player was looking at the Steam machine, right? Like, well, I can't play it. I don't know if that was, a part of the target audience. I just don't think so. I think the target audience was probably folks, again, who, you are familiar with Steam, you're familiar with the ocean of AA's and indies over there that you would like to play, and, playing in your living room sounds great, but you just don't want to go through the trouble and the hassle of, building a PC or putting a pre-built in your living room. I got Horizon Forbidden West on Steam last night on sale. It's beautiful on my ROG Xbox Ally X. I mean, yeah, I would guess the performance is not that great on that device. I mean, I wouldn't want to play that game. I have a hard time believing you're playing that game at 60. I don't know what you'd be doing to get that, but on the handhelds, I'm assuming you're playing most games like that at 30, which I would never want to play. That's my own personal preference. Could I ask your opinion? Who make AI thumbnails on you and lie about you on reaction? I've seen them a bit recently. The platform is full of people like that. I don't care. Like, what do you? It doesn't. I don't pay any attention to it. Excuse me. That was weird. That is really weird. My voice, like, I don't know, my voice is acting up. There we go. YouTube ads have gotten ridiculous. They'll pop up if you turn the orientation of your phone. Jiminy Christmas. As long as I got a YouTube channel, yes. I am streaming on both YouTube and Twitch right now. You can't play handhelds unless it's just a little indie. I can't play handhelds unless it's just a little indie game. Don't go dying on us. No, that was just like one of those weird, like, you go to clear your throat and like it doesn't work. And you're like, what the frick is going on? Have you tried 30 FPS on a portable? I haven't personally. I tried it with Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch 1, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I suffered through Breath of the Wild. Hit the like button before he dies, that's right. I suffered through it on Breath of the Wild. I was like, I want to finish this game. At that time, in 2017, you remember, you know, I was starting to get into end of 2017. I was like starting to get into, you know, Destiny on PC, Fortnite on PC. So I was like, yeah, 60 is the way to go. Well, I had to kind of suffer through Breath because at the time I played Breath and then I had to put it down because I was a Destiny content creator. And when I circled back to Breath of the Wild, I played it on the Switch handheld when I was like on a Florida trip or something and finished it. And I didn't like it very much. I was like, yeah, I'm putting up with this, but only because I wanted to roll credits. So in general, I doubt I'd be able to, you know, stomach it. I doubt I'd be able to put up with it. So, give me just 1 second. Okay. Sorry. You can't take the man till he covers Elder Scrolls Made the Deal Yesterday. Oh, till after he covers Elder Scrolls Made the Deal Yesterday? I don't know what you're talking about. The Steam machine really does feel like a product developed out of boredom. Steam did not need this product like at all, but they just had to release it as like a vanity project. I don't know if it's a vanity project. What's good, Red Rider? How are you doing? What's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. If you listen to the interview that Valve did with The Verge about this, I would say it's more along the lines of like they wanted to have a variety of like their own kind of hardware out there. Controller, the Steam machine, the Steam Deck. These are things they wanted to kind of have in the market as a means of being like, yeah, these are all various ways, you know, you can kind of interact with us. But they're not going to subsidize them because that's just not their business model. So they put them into the market as an option, as a way for you to, you know, engage with them in their OS. But I don't think their goal, and this is where I think people were kind of jumping the gun about like, this is going to disrupt the living room. This is going to change the console gaming landscape for forever. And it was like, there wasn't a universe where I felt like that was going to happen, because I remember people coming to me and saying that, and I was like, I just don't think so. I don't think they're going to make enough at scale to sell them at a price point or subsidize them to even get a cut of the living room audience, to even get like a noticeable percentage of the living room audience to convert or something. It's like you're going to get your people to buy it as another way of interacting with their Steam library. I'm trying to figure out what contracts they signed that force them to put these things out. Well, that's what's weird, Fuzzy, is they basically said in that one interview that, like, the situation with RAM, that it almost didn't happen. It almost didn't happen. So it's like, well, did you guys have the option to just not do it? You know? I'm curious what a generator goes for these days. 10,000 might have been a steal. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I feel like some of you guys are literally in different timelines right now. What you're saying, and it doesn't make sense some of the times. It's like you're not talking about what we're talking about. I don't know what some of you guys are doing this morning. This afternoon. I'm very confused. Some of you guys are literally typing sentences that don't make sense with respect to what we're talking about. Moore's Law is dead said they announced it before they even signed the contracts. That's what I mean. Did they even have the option to kill this thing and cancel this thing? I don't know. It's like, it seems very, very bizarre. It seems extremely bizarre. It's like, were you guys locked in? Did you guys have to make this? It seems like it doesn't fit. It seems like you guys were. And again, I remember when Linus asked them about it being priced similar to a console, they really bristled at the idea. So many people initially were like, oh, this thing's not even going to be close to $500 to $600. I'm thinking this thing would be cooking at $750, but $1,050 ain't it. But at $750, you know, how much would they be subsidizing would be the question. If they have to subsidize that much, would they run the risk of a bunch of people snagging the device and not even using their storefront? If you price it at $750, do you run the risk of a bunch of people grabbing it and then not spending enough within the Steam marketplace to make back what's been subsidized? Would you buy it at $750 or $800? I wouldn't even have hesitated at $750 or $800. I would have immediately been like, oh yeah, I'm definitely buying that. That's adjacent to when I bought the PS5 Pro. Now, I know it's not going to give me PS5 Pro performance, but it's adjacent to that purchase in my mind. It's going to give me access to something that I don't have in my living room right now. What's the price? The cheap one's like $1,000, and then the more expensive one's $1,300. The 512, and then there's a 2 terabyte. Well, as a collector's item, I'm sure he will get it even at $1,000. I just don't know. It solves a problem for you. It does solve a problem for me, but if it reintroduces the things that I hate about PC gaming, then I don't know if I want to get it. I don't know if I want to sign up for another rodeo of, well, if you want to play this game, you got to turn this down, and frame rate's kind of yeah, you know, so you're basically going to be limited to, you know, Deep Rock and Slay the Spire. And it's like, do I want to drop $1,000 on a $5 indie machine? I just don't know. Like, I was looking a little bit beyond that. I was looking at games like Echo Point Nova and Witchfire and thinking I wouldn't mind being able to play those games. And based on the preliminary tests that we're seeing from, like, the hands-on, it's like, yeah, I don't know. What are you going to do with 512 gig? Install a lot of the games I just listed that won't eat up much of that at all? Like, what's the install size of a game like Deep Rock Galactic Survivor or Mugenics or Slay the Spire 2? Like, what are these games even doing as far as install size, brother? I'm trying to look here and see. Or like a Hades 2. How much space is Hades 2 even taking up? I don't think these games that I would be playing on it are going to be eating into that storage that quickly. You can add storage. Yeah, that's true. You can add storage. Can you get to a quick... Yeah, like, how much storage? You need like 11 gig for Hades 2. Witchfire is 47 gig. So Witchfire would be one of the larger games, right? Would be one of the larger games. Now, I wouldn't play Borderlands 4 on it, but I have Borderlands 4 here in my thing. 100 gig. So even something as large as Borderlands 4 on the 512, you would still only be eaten into about a fifth of your storage space. I don't think I'd be playing a lot of those games. I think I'd be playing a lot of the smaller games on it. 1100 after tax without a controller for a glorified indie machine. Valve is tripping, says MGene. And I think that's where people are kind of torn on this thing, because they're like, well, this is becoming a pretty indulgent expense. Like, I'm buying something that is, we would say somewhat exorbitantly priced for what it offers. Like an indie machine. You can also uninstall once finished. Yeah, some games you would uninstall. Some games you're not going to just play for forever. Like, once you feel like you're kind of done. I agree with Mantis says, I agree with MG massively. I don't know who you're talking about. Faced with price increases and inventory ready to ship, I think they decided to raise the price on current inventory and will likely stop making new units based on lack of sales. Versus releasing it for $850. Steam Machine won't run GTA 6 except on lowest settings at 15 frames per second. The game would crash. Has the live happened? I think so. I've been interested in it, as always, been a console gamer, and it seemed a simple way to get into PC. It is a very streamlined way to get into PC gaming. Like, if you watch like a future game show and you're sitting there going, wow, all these games looked so cool. It certainly is a very easy way to get into that field of being like, oh, now I can play all those little indie titles that are constantly showing up during a future game show. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a common thing that I run into. I watch a future game show. I'm like, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, and it's all Steam, wishlist on Steam, wishlist on Steam, and it's like, oh, I guess I'll play that never. Maybe if it ever comes to console. Steam Machine is definitely not a AAA box. We need to make sure people know that. How much did the Steam frame? This is a Steam Machine version of the show. That's right. Is it PC gaming or Steam OS gaming? It's a great way for a low-tech consumer to enter PC gaming. And that's the question. Like, is a low-tech consumer going to look at the price and be like, that seems a little expensive, given what they're going to potentially use it for, as well as given what their desires are, what their value hierarchy is. Lono, let's say you get selected. Are you buying a Steam Machine? I think I will buy one purely as a content creator, not as a consumer. Usually it's like a 50-50. Like, I'm buying it half because I'm a content creator, but also half because I'm a consumer. Like the PS5 Pro, that's like right down the middle. I want to have it so I can talk about it, showcase the games, but I also want it as a consumer. Steam Machine, it's like 90-10. Like 90% of the reason I would buy it is because, I'm a creator and want to be able to be like, yeah, I've got it. I played this and this and this. I've been working my way through such and such game. Like when some of these Steam games come out, I'd like to be able to put time into them. But I think I'd be buying it less as a consumer now because of the price point. Like as a consumer, I would look at this and go, I have a crazy backlog. And eventually Slay the Spire 2 is going to come to console. The first one did. Eventually, Mugenics will probably come to console. Eventually, Deep Rock Galactic will probably jump the chasm and make its way to PlayStation. Like, eventually, these things will happen. And I have such a crazy backlog. It's like, as a consumer, I'd be like, yeah. I'll wait. Your job is subsidizing the purchase price. It is. It is. So it's like, that'd be the primary reason that I'm buying it. No exclusive Half-Life or Portal equals a missed opportunity. I don't know what's going on with Half-Life 3. I don't know if like all those leaks were legitimate or not. I just don't know. Sounds like you're trying to find a use for it rather than a need. Well, I don't even know if there was a need. There was always a use of like, hey, Mugenics came out. Slay the Spire 2 came out. There's these little indie titles that get announced in future game show, and they have demos, and, I'd like to check them out. Well, guess what? A Steam machine makes that very easy for me. It makes it very easy for me. It's not easy to do that right now in my current setup because I got to come in here and game, and I'm not going to do that. Once I'm on the couch, I'm on the couch, boys. I'm not coming in here into the studio. I'm not doing it. I'm on the couch. My wife will come down and be like, do I need to bring a book down tonight if I'm playing through something for the stream? Like when I was working my way through Yote, she would bring a book down, sit on the couch next to me, and read while I'm playing through Yote. She can stop reading, see what I'm doing, ask a question. I can commentate on something, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to be like, hey, I've been in the studio all day, away from my family, have dinner, walk with the kids, read to the kids, put the kids to bed, come downstairs, and come back in the studio to be like, I got to put some hours into Mugenics. I'm not going to do that. It just isn't going to happen. So it was meeting a use case, or what you could, I don't think I would articulate that as a need, but it was a use case. It was like, yeah, I could do that. I could do that. But at the price, I don't think I would have purchased this as a consumer. I'd have been like, yeah, it's too much. I have too many games in my backlog as it is. And if I want to actually play some of the, like the co-op games, a lot of the co-op games are online co-op games. And what that means is I've got to, I've got to buy 2 of them, and then I got to buy the games twice. You see? Like, at some level, it still meets a need, but it's like even the co-op games, a lot of the times we wouldn't be able to play them. You wouldn't be able to play them. Why'd you have to play Yote in the studio? You must have misheard me. I didn't play Yote in the studio. My wife will come down and be like, do I need to bring a book down? And I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to play such and such a game tonight for the business. I'm working my way through Yote, or I'm working my way through like 007 First Light. And so she'll bring a book down, and I'll play for about an hour, and then her and I will play something, or we'll watch, a Hitchcock. If I'm going to put time into Mugenics or Slay the Spire 2 or Witchfire or any other PC-only release, I'd have to come into the studio, and I'm not going to do that. A lot of PC games don't have split screen. Correct, a lot of them don't have split screen. Gwendolyn says, I'll pick up my membership on Wednesday when I get paid, hit a rough patch, but I'm good now. I agree, I got 27 games in my backlog. You always take care of yourself first, Gwendolyn. Don't worry about that. And thank you guys for 200 likes on the video. I appreciate it very, very much. In about an hour, we are going to have a guest on the program. We're going to be talking about a variety of different things. So thank you so much for being here. She's going to get a lot of reading when Wolverine comes out. Wolverine? She's going to get a lot of reading done when fricking September rolls around, dadgummit. Onimusha and Control Resonant. Like, what the heck? It's getting crazy, boys. Like, I think it's like end of July, and then August it starts to ramp up, and then September it just gets absolutely insane. What's good, Wired Rope? Thanks for the 40 stream streak. Would you ever do a show with Mr. Matty if he was willing? Yeah, I love Matty. Yeah, I like Matty. I like his content. I would definitely do a show with Matty. I don't know if I'd pose for a picture with him. He's one of those tall guys, and I don't like that. I'm short. You know what I mean? Like if I was ever hanging out with these guys, I'd be like, yeah, no pictures, please. I'm small enough as it is. I don't need it to be seen against the backdrop of you giants. September is so crowded. It's mega crowded. It's too crowded. There's rumors that Onimusha is early in September now. So there's rumors that they've already moved it to that first Friday. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. Lono Howard. Yeah, I'll take pictures with Todd Howard for sure. Yeah. Another fellow short king. Definitely. We could edit you sitting on his lap. Maddie's tall. No, he's not. He's tall. So in any case, the Steam machine is just, I again think it's likely going to land in a weird place. Thank you for the single gifted, Joker Quinn. And make sure you guys are hitting the like button on your way in here. There's other topics going on, though. There's this alleged, and there are people saying it's not true. I don't know what to think, because you've got to be able to verify your Microsoft, employment to post on this website on Blind. And I just don't know. It seems like the person knows things that are coming, but they said the flight sim team, which is weird because Asobo is not something that Microsoft can shut down, but there is a team at Xbox Studios that helps with flight sim. So yeah, I don't know. It was a weird leak, and it's looking like a lot of studios are about to be closed. It's not just going to be like 2 or 3. It looks like it's going to be a handful. Did you see Bellular's video about the amount of games for this fall? Seems avoiding GTA 6 to launch in September created a new problem that will be damaging. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know. I would not be surprised if we see some games move either earlier or just slide to next year. So it's too many games in September. It's way too many games. It's like, okay, so what game do you want to buy? There's so many, and a lot of people only buy like 1, sometimes 2 in a close succession, especially with as expensive as gaming has become. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if some of the games are looking at literally slipping to next year. Realistically, capacity catches up 2028, 2030. Hopefully, hardware can hold out. A £5 super chat from Gaz says, "Don't listen to this pony." Gaz, I swear to frick, man, you won't even come on the dadgum show. Out here dodging. Look, guys, if I showed you our DMs, the dude's just scared. I'm kidding. He's scared. He won't come on the show. He's like, I can't do it. You talk too fast. No, he's just got a very busy schedule. I actually am trying to have Gaz on the show. We've had our differences in the past. 5 bomb from Wired Rope over there on purple. Thank you, sir. Getting us to 133. We'll get him on here. We'll get him on here. We'll see what he knows. It'll be a short show, but we'll do it. And I'm worried about id Software. Man, I tell you, if they close id, then we're in another era altogether. We're in a completely different era if they close id. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, Ninja Theory's got me pretty ticked. I mean, I'm pretty heated about Ninja Theory. But id Software, I don't know. That is a veteran, deep institutional knowledge. That is a studio of high pedigree. I don't think you close an id Software. That would be bonkers. I don't know. If they close id, we're doomed. I swear to frick, Kevin, just take the day off. That joke is terrible. Oh my gosh. It's jokes like that make me want to quit. I do. Not the salt, not the mockery, not the lies, not the cancel brigade. It's jokes like that just make me want to hang it up. I'm out. I can't do it anymore. Oh my gosh. Jiminy. Reforge needs to scream more often. Why do I need to scream more often? Kevin's like, a day off. That's right, dude. I'm freaking out of here, man. It's a freaking terrible joke. See you next week. I'm packing it up. Star Fox released GTA 6 pre-order now at Capcom Showcase. Yeah, the Capcom Showcase is a little too late in the day for me. I don't think we'll be able to cover that. I think it's at like 5 on Friday or later. I don't know. Is it 6? I forget when it is. Nick says, Lono, am I going too far on Twitter? I don't know. What are you doing? What are you saying? You know what I mean? Well, I don't pay that much attention to Twitter. Valve knew exactly what it was doing with the Steam machine. What's this tweet say? Let's see here. Let's see. Is this the Valve console? We think of Steam Machine as an extension of PC gaming, not as a console. The traditional console model is to sell hardware at a loss and make up the revenue with subscription services or by selling games that are locked into the hardware. We think this can make sense for a single business in the short term, but that open ecosystems are better for customers over the long term. Okay. PC gaming's history proves this. The openness of the PC gaming space has enabled it to be the primary driver of hardware and software innovation for decades. The strength of PC gaming is the ability to play the games you want on the hardware that you want. Steam Machine is a solution to these problems, and we think it's a great one. But it's not the only solution, and we don't want it to be. Jack Garland with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, look at all the games avoiding GTA 6 release window. Y'all ain't that's right. I mean, I can't read this without feeling this is belief laden, which is fine. I believe all businesses are driven by some level of belief or philosophy or ideology, right? They're essentially claiming that in the short term, you're losing on consoles, which again, we've heard this time and time again from the folks who are on this belief wavelength. They think you're getting scammed. They think you're getting ripped off. They think you're getting fleeced on a console. And their invocation of subscription services here is, again, like they're basically getting passive digs in at the console business structure. And you'll notice that anytime consoles come up, the boys that are kind of on that cheer squad, they kind of cheer for Valve and that side, they'll invoke subs as if they're required. Oh, well, yeah, but you have to pay for the sub service. And it's like, no, you don't. The lion's share of live service games are free to play, so you don't need it. And if you're playing a lot of the big single-player games or the indie games or the games that you guys hail as amazing on Steam, those genres of games, you don't need the sub service. Now, you could argue locking the games to that system is not good for the consumer short term, or I'm sorry, it's not good for the consumer long term if, in fact, backwards compatibility were to go away. Like, as we get into longer tails of backwards compatibility, it's like, is that really a concern? Obviously, yes, it's a concern if the companies go belly up and disappear, and like, well, now, how do you maintain a digital library if eventually, imagine in 20 years, if your PlayStation 6 is dead and they didn't do any more hardware, and now how do you access your digital library? That is obviously a concern, and they're advocating for the idea that as long as you can buy a PC and put a PC together, it's an open platform, all your games are there, right? Steam is still a marketplace and a housing for those games that you would hope would never go away, but you have to be able to log in. You have to be able to log into like their system for it to basically be like, oh, here's your stuff that you quote unquote own. So even that is a potential. Like, if we're going to imagine that these companies disappear and then you no longer can access your library, the same, hyperbolic imagined future could happen to Steam too. Like, and we think that that's unlikely, right? Like, it would be very strange in our lifetime for these things to develop and for you to lose your games. So as long as the console platforms are prizing and maintaining backwards compatibility, I don't necessarily think that that's bad for the customer in long term. They might push back and say, but then you have to keep going to them. You have to keep going to them. Okay, I have to keep going to you. I bought all my games through you, so if I want to have access to them, I'm going to keep coming back to you. Oh, well, you don't have to buy hardware from us to do that. Okay, that you're removing one aspect of the requirement. Like, okay, I still have to come to you for my library. You have it all. I got to go to your platform. I got to go to your software. I got to log in with my account to get all my stuff. Just because you let me buy any hardware I want doesn't mean that I'm still not locked to you. It just feels like a shell. It feels like a bit of a shell game. It's like you're just moving one thing out of the equation and acting like, well, that's automatically superior. And it's like, if that's your viewpoint and that fits your value system and you feel like you're doing great, awesome. But don't act like you're not also still locked to them. All your stuff is there. All your stuff is there. Not physical. You don't have some physical collection. All your stuff's hanging out with them. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, all your games are hanging out there, and that's not a problem as long as they're still around. Just like backwards compatibility. As long as backwards compatibility is still around and being prized by the major companies, I'm not really concerned about buying the Nintendo Switch 3 or buying a PlayStation 6. These are not concerns that I have. The subscription's not required, and I bought games with them, and all my stuff is there. Just like I bought games in Steam, and all my stuff is there. Enabling me to buy any PC isn't some unfettered piece of freedom that people act like it is. You are still tied to that company for your library. Short-sighted from Valve. How about the fact that gamers get price out of good gaming experiences on PC? Consumers are more important than dev companies. Sorry. Huh? How about the fact that gamers get price out of good gaming experiences on PC? Consumers are more important than dev companies? I don't understand the point that you're making. You're contrasting two things that don't seem to be in competition. Why are you pitting the dev companies against... Why are you pitting that against the consumer or something? What sent me down the rabbit hole of Twitter, and the reason I saw that tweet is Nick said, am I going too far? I mean, you're using colorful language, Nick. You say, yes, PlayStation fans do have an effing point this time. Because of how many years did we have to bear the PC snobs trying to preach value and how great Lord Gabe is and how we're getting scammed with our purchases. Today they can eat a blank. Right, like, I know who you have in mind. I know the type of commentary that we've had, that you're frustrated by. I particularly like this one. But guys, if you pay for 10 years of PS Plus, then the Steam Machine and the PS5 are basically the same price. I thought that was pretty good work. I mean, I think that's pretty good work. The overstatement of what PS Plus adds to the equation is always remarkable to me. I bought a $3,000 PC. I'm better off than you. And you're like, I will never catch you. I can early adopt every PlayStation that comes out, and I'll never catch you, even with PS Plus. The Valve logic and defense is that PC makes an open platform for easy dev work and more variety in gaming, which is true, but PC is expensible. Console has a place forever in gaming. Console has a place forever in gaming. I mean, nothing is forever. Nothing is a permanent fixture. Nothing. Not mountains, not rivers, and certainly not businesses. So, 50 years from now, everything could look completely different. You know what I mean? 50 years from now, are you going to be playing on a PlayStation? What would that be? A PlayStation 12? I don't know. I mean, by then, tech breakthroughs with infrastructure, internet speed, and cloud, you might literally be playing something that's got like neural nano processing that's instantaneous, and you can connect to a computer that's a mile away in some server stack, and you're subscribed to PlayStation to do that. I don't know. I mean, everything could completely look differently in 50 years. I'm 45. I would hope that in 50 years, I'm dead. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I make it to my mid-90s, I hope I'm on my way out, boys. Like, I'm not concerned about this. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm on my way out. I'm not worried. But right now, I don't see these trajectories changing fast enough for me to be concerned about my experiences and my investment. I'm not. In my lifetime, and for the duration of the time that I'm primarily playing games, because, in 20 years, I'll be 65, okay? So in 20 years, I would anticipate my gaming and my engagement in gaming tapering way, way down. So over the course of the next 20 years, I don't see any of this changing to the degree that people are worried. We're like, yeah, you won't have your games anymore. PlayStation will be gone, or there won't be consoles. Like, I don't think so. And in that time frame, I anticipate gaming less and less and less. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be sitting here clocking in. How many games have I completed, Nick? 18 in 6 months. Homie, I ain't rolling credits on 18 games in 6 months when I've got grandkids. That's just not happening. It's not happening. My entire world will be different then. 50 years from now, I'm shopping for a coffin, not a console. That's right. Like, I think a lot of the, the worry and the fear-mongering and the concern, I think it's going to take so long for some of these trajectories to change. I just don't see it. I really, really don't. I don't see it as being a concern. How many Grand Theft Autos do you have left? None. 50 years from now, you'll finally have a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship. No. The game hoarding mentality is odd to me. No one is playing 100% of their library 10 years from now. Well, I think the fair pushback, Hidden Siryu, is it would be really nice in the future to be able to say, because like right now, everything's been digitized. So like I can expose my children to Lion King and be like, I watched this when I was a kiddo. I can watch Alfred Hitchcock Presents or the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, which is that programming at this point is what, 60 and 70 years old. So like I can watch that stuff. It's all been digitized. I didn't have to like go to an in-law's house and say, hey, do you have any of those shows recorded? Do you have any VHS tapes? And then I got to find the VCR. And then I got to like make sure I can figure out how to hook up to my television. I don't have to do any of that. So making everything digital has pluses and minuses. I have access to entire libraries of content that have been preserved because of things going digital. Like, people look at digital as like the devil, but it's like, but digital's enabled me to enjoy the entirety of the Twilight Zone without needing to go and find physical copies of the Twilight Zone. Do you have any idea how freaking hard that would be right now in 2026? Do you know the insurmountable task it would be for me to find and procure everything necessary to watch all of the episodes of Twilight Zone? It would be basically impossible. I wouldn't have the time or the money or the care to do it. I'd give up. I'd be like, nah, I'm good. But I've been able to watch an entire library of prolific work from men that I consider to be creative and prolific geniuses. Both Rod Serling and Alfred Hitchcock are probably the single most influential creators within what we watch today on television. Those guys laid all the groundwork for the most part for everything you watch, from crime drama to science fiction television shows to horror. Those guys laid the groundwork. I wouldn't have been able to do any of that if it wasn't for digital. So I get somebody wanting to say, I have all of my physical library here of games, and I want to be able to share these games with my children or my children's children. The catch is, it's going to become just like The Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock. It's just going to be easier to do it digitally. Like, I hate to be that guy. Because I know some of you boys love your physical collection. But time's going to catch up. And it's just going to be easier to show your kids Ghost of Tsushima digitally. As opposed to being like, I've got the disc. Like, what are you going to do with the disc in 15 years? What are you going to do with it? What? What are you going to do with it? You're going to be able to show it to them. It's just going to be easier to show them the game digitally. You could be lucky enough to have a grandparent that for whatever reason somehow has an entire physical collection of like the Twilight Zone. Does that matter right now? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? If I had every VHS movie of every Disney movie my parents ever owned, what would I do with that right now? What would I do with it? I'd be like, isn't that cool? And it would take up physical space, and that's it. Now, nostalgic attachment, you're a collector, cool. But this ownership thing that people are pining for, I'm like, brother, that ship is gone. It is gone. That's not a thing. And there's so much gained because of digital. There's so much gained. Like, I can share things with my children that right now, if it weren't for digital, I would have no way of sharing those things with my children. I'd have to go and find a Blu-ray of all of those Disney movies. And then the cost of that would be ridiculous. Yeah, or convert it to digital, right. In 15 years, it'll be easier to show them with a disc and an old PS5. It's not getting ported to run on Windows 14. Well, my assumption is I'll have a PlayStation that can play the game digitally. That's my assumption. Lona, would you be able to compete 18 games at 60 because you'll have an AI lady in a jar telling you everything to do to blow through it? It's not going to be a question of capability. It's going to be a question of desire. Homies, you need to get real. You think you're going to give a frick about all this stuff? I mean, I'm not. My daughter is 12, okay? In 20 years, she'll be 32. Do you honestly think, if, Lord willing, she gets married and has children, do you think I'm going to give a frick about video games at that point in time? No. I'm going to be writing books or spending time with my grandchildren. You think I'm going to be sitting around frickin' playing video games? No. My entire life will be different then. In 20 years? When I'm in my 60s? Homie, I ain't talking to none of y'all 20 years from now. I hate to break it to you. We're going to break up by then. This'll all be done by then. 20 years from now. If you think I'm sitting my butt in this chair in this studio and wasting time talking about this stuff when I'm in my 60s, you're freaking crazy. You're crazy if you think I'm doing that. You're breaking my heart. I don't know what y'all think's going to happen in 20 years, but I ain't sitting down here as a grandpa and talking to y'all. It ain't happening, boys. It ain't happening. I'll see you in 20. Granddad Gamer's a thing? Oh, no way, boys. Saving this clip for 20 years. You better put it on an eternal hard drive. We'll have AI Lono by then. It'll be you, but actually funny. That's right. We ain't making it 20 years. as a species, oh, leave. No one wants to hear you doomers talk. Who will tell me to say no to rage, though? I don't know. I don't know who will tell you to say no to rage. You know, you have to figure that out on your own. You will have to figure that out on your own. No, keeping it real. Say yes to rage will emerge as a cranky old guy. That's right, I'll rebrand. I'm like, all right, you whippersnappers, I'm tired of all your BS. We're now say yes to rage. Lono Sun's going to take over the channel. I mean, I don't know. He's got his own aspirations about stuff. The point I'm making is that you just got to think about that. Like when you're a grandpa and your daily routines and things have changed. Like I'll probably still have a foot in gaming. Maybe I'll put out like a podcast episode a week or something. But I ain't sitting in this dadgum chair at 65 for 4 hours a day yammering about whatever's going on with PlayStation, and PC and Xbox. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. There are, and I just think there are realities that will happen with digital, same way that like when I was a kid and now I share things with my children that are all digital, whether it's Star Wars or Disney movies or cartoons I grew up on. The same thing's happening with video games. I'm going to share things with my children and my grandchildren that will likely just be digital. It'll likely just be digital. It'll be like, yeah, this is it. This is what I used to do. This is what I used to talk about and cover professionally. Real talk, finding your channel has made the past 10 years a much better gaming experience. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. You did follow me in 2015, which is freaking ridiculous. That's like back when I started. Reforge Gaming Global should exist by then. Yeah. Quit yapping and go back to listening to your 8-track and cassette tapes. That's right. I'm not quite old enough to ever have had an 8-track. I had cassettes, though. I had cassettes and CDs. We got about 20 minutes, and I'm going to have a guest on the show, boys. And we're going to be talking about all this nonsense that's been going on. Xbox potential studio closures, the PS6 timing, the Steam machine pricing, It'd be like that Twilight Zone episode where they took gold bars into the future only to find out that gold was essentially manufactured and worthless. It had become so common that it was worthless, yeah. Yep. Uh-huh. Ronaldo again. My son will be very pleased. He likes Ronaldo. I've tried to tell him. I'm younger than you. We had an 8-track stereo. Yeah, my dad never had the 8-tracks. He had cassettes and CDs. He never had an 8-track. Yeah. Some TV shows and movies are being edited in their digital versions. You can at least rip the real versions from Blu-ray and DVDs. Yeah, I mean, I know that. I know that. Is it Dr. Ark standing by his dryer door? No. I see Cross fighting for Destiny 4 in 2040. Reforge, you should be a conglomerate when we see you in your 60s. No, I don't have any of those kind of aspirations. What are you even talking about? Flip the cassette to B-side, that's right. Why Ronaldo? He also likes Mbappe. He likes Mbappe. He's got good taste. Ronaldo's a good player, so is Mbappe. He likes to cheer for Ned. He tends to follow what I like. Go cheer for Orange. Let's be honest, 50 years from now, we're Jack Sparrowing. That's right. Messi. He hangs out in circles that thinks that Ronaldo is better than Messi, so he's got a thing against Messi. And I'm like, you don't have any idea who you're freaking talking about. You're talking about like a literal goat. Like, he's not as good. I'm like, you're talking to teenage boys that know nothing. Stop it. He's literally talking to teenage boys that know nothing. They've got it in their mind that like Messi's no good and Ronaldo's better. I'm like, y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop. You know what I'm saying? These young bloods don't know, dude. They watch a couple games and highlight reels and they're like, yeah, Messi's not that good. I'm like, shut up. Shut your face. Oh my golly. Just popped in. What's the summary? The Steam Machine price is ridiculous. Performance is not that great given the power of the device, and it's probably going to end up being a pretty niche product for the most hardcore. There's leaks indicating more and more studio closures at Xbox are going to happen as we roll into July. And then the PlayStation 6 timing is allegedly on pace for 2027, even though it does look continually like it's going to slip. Recency bias going crazy, internet for you. That's what I'm saying, dude. I understand. I spend all day talking to adults that know nothing. It doesn't get better. This is true. Ronaldo has more Instagram followers. Right. That's why I said it's a bunch of teenagers. Ronaldo's amazing. There's no denying that he's amazing. But creating this idea that like they weren't just saying they like him more. They were acting as if Messi wasn't any good. And I'm like, you have no idea what the frick you're talking about. Like, no, you can say you like Ronaldo more. You could run stats and maybe even make an argument like, well, Ronaldo did better at this point in time and blah, blah, blah. But acting like Messi's not any good. I'm like, dude, stop. You're going to hurt yourself. You're talking about literally one of the greatest players like ever. And you're like, he's not any good. It's like, just chill out. Two totally different players. I've seen both live. Ronaldo's beast, but Messi has those twinkle toes. They're both good in their own right. You can have a favorite. Acting as if one is not good at all is just absurd to me. It's like I tried to tell him. I was like, buddy, you're listening to boys that don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. Like to act as if he is no good or is overrated. I was like, they're gonna break their necks. Like they're talking out of the side of their head. Are you familiar with Inter Milan? I don't follow enough to know. You start bringing up clubs and teams and people, I'm going to be immediately out of my depth. I like watching the Euro Cup if I can catch it. Obviously, World Cup is huge this year, being in America. So I'm watching on Peacock every chance I get. I love soccer, but I don't have the time to follow any of it. You know what I mean? I don't have the time. I wish I did. I wish I did have the time. Club play is always at weird times and weird. It's hard to watch. Like as an American, like it's not easy to watch a lot of it. Just wondering why you lied about State of Decay 3 showing fake gameplay. I saw 72 minutes of gameplay. Why lie? I didn't lie. You're probably watching my content through somebody who is a liar, which is gloriously hypocritical. I said that I felt a lot of the footage that State of Decay showed last year was simulated and fake because it was. And then I said what they showed this year looked more authentic and real and in-engine. I did remark that a lot of it was quick cuts. They would run and quickly cut to more cinematic camera work. And I also remarked that plenty of people have been playing the alpha and singing its praises. So it sounds like you're watching somebody who just straight up lies about my content. They showed fake gameplay last year. They did. It wasn't real. It was not authentic. It was simulated. They'd done the same thing with Fable every year. And I kept saying, that's fake. That's not real. And then when they actually showed Fable gameplay footage, it looked nothing like the simulated stuff. I was 100% correct when I said that. You're watching people who shift goalposts, clip things out of context, or remove timelines, or misrepresent what I say, or they'll take a small slice. And it's like, I don't know who you watched that said that or claimed that I said that, but like this year, they were clearly showing gameplay in engine. It looked more authentic. It looked more real. And we know people are having hands-on with the alpha and are having a good time. When I said the footage was fake, it was last year. Now, this year, my initial reaction was, this has that simulated gameplay feel. You keep cutting the camera. It's not lengthy. It's not uncut. I don't know what to tell you. You know, you're in here on some kind of a narrative. It doesn't look like you've ever spoken in my content ever before. So you're probably coming fresh off of some salt channel. I can give you timestamps of what was real gameplay. Okay. When have I ever said there's no real gameplay available? I've never said that. I was speaking specifically in the instance where I said fake footage. It was last year. It was fake. It was 100% fake gameplay. It wasn't real. It was simulated. The stuff they showed this year was a lot of quick cuts. It was clearly in engine. It wasn't like a cinematic. It was in engine footage, and it was a lot of quick cuts. And there's a gigantic difference between going in engine and simulating gameplay and showing raw, uncut gameplay. They're vastly different. And all I've ever commentated on was what they showed in the showcase. Now, if you can find footage elsewhere that you think is raw, real, or people have recorded or whatever, I've not commentated on any of that. I've not watched any of it. You just did? I just did what? If you're having a hard time keeping up, no, it wasn't. The footage shown last year was fake and simulated. Yes, it was. It was not genuine. It was not real. It was simulated, and they made it look like gameplay. The stuff they showed this year was in engine, and it seemed more authentic. But again, they kept cutting the camera. They would run, and then the camera would switch, and they'd show people shooting. And it was like, if it's real, if it's authentic, if it's raw, why do you keep cutting the camera? They did the same thing. They did the exact same thing with Crimson Desert. They did the exact same thing. Here's console footage, and the camera kept cutting. And we knew why. We found out why later. The game looked like cheeks on console, and it ran really poorly. Now they've patched it and they've improved things. But at launch, it looked nothing like the PC gameplay trailers that they were putting out. If you think you're going to get me in some kind of a gotcha here, brother, I have not missed on any of these trailers. Anytime I say that's simulated, that's not real, that's highly edited, they won't show raw, uncut gameplay, I haven't missed yet. And I'm here to tell you, the State of Decay 3 stuff they showed last year was simulated. That was not real, raw, authentic gameplay. The stuff they showed this year was in engine, but it still kept cutting. It was like, why does the camera keeps cutting? If you can't tell what is real or fake gameplay, then you need thicker glasses. I mean, if you're writing, a prescription for yourself, go right ahead. I've been doing this for a long time, dude. I haven't missed yet. Every single time I've told people that looks like simulated gameplay, I've been right 100% of the time. I have been. I haven't missed yet. You can feel it. There's a difference in the presentation. There's a difference in the packaging. There is. Homie, I've been watching gameplay trailers for over a decade. You're not slipping one past the goalie. You're not. It's like, I can tell. You're like, yeah, that's simulated. That's simulated. That's not real. We've been through this time and time again. And I always get somebody who's like super on the defense force who's like, no, that was real. They did it with Fable. They did it with Perfect Dark, and you're doing it now. Not all of the 2024 was fake gameplay. All right. You think what you think, I'll think what I think. I've been through this rodeo before, and I've been right every time. I've watched countless gameplay reveals, and they never look like that. Like, every single time a developer's like, hey, here's our gameplay reveal, here's our gameplay, they never, ever look like that. They don't. It's like the packaging gives it away. Who cares how long you've been doing this? I would say it gives me a level of expertise to say, like, yes, I've been talking about this and covering this for long enough that I know all the hallmarks of raw gameplay. I do. Whether it was the day before, or the Fable simulated footage, or the Perfect Dark simulated footage, or the trailers for Mind's Eye, homie, I haven't missed. It's like every single time I'm like, yeah, that's fake. There's something fishy going on. That doesn't look real. That doesn't look genuine. And it's like, I've hit a bullseye every time. And I'm telling you, when they showed State of Decay last year, that was simulated gameplay. That was not real. It's obvious if you listen to their own commentary. They did a video recently, and they were like, most of the studio's been working on State of Decay 2. And now we're getting ready to work on State of Decay 3. So you think they said that this year, and last year they had substantive, real gameplay to show? Come on, man. We know the patterns with studios. We know they do this. Your earliest trailers are cinematic. Trailers after that are commonly conceptual or simulated. We saw this with The Division. We've seen this with countless games where, like, the second trailer is like conceptual. It's like simulated. It's like, yeah, that's probably what they're going to hope that it looks like. And then we get like actual uncut real gameplay. Like, and it's undeniable when you look at it. It's obvious. Like when you watch the Wolverine presentation or the God of War presentation, or when they showed us 20 minutes of Spider-Man 2, it's like, yeah, that's gameplay. I know what I'm looking at now. When you do this hyper cut thing, and it's like, oh, the guy's running, that looks like gameplay, and the camera cuts. And it's like, oh, okay. And then the guy gets out of the car, and then he goes to aim, and then the camera cuts. It's like, come on, dude. Like, we've been through this so many times. We have been through this so many times. Nobody's lying. Nobody has an agenda. I'm just doing very basic analysis of what I know to be real and raw, authentic gameplay, and what I know to commonly be not that. I don't think it's that outlandish to say. It's not slanderous. I'm not lying. I'm not hating. It's not a hit piece. It's just like, yeah, that doesn't look real to me. That looks simulated. And every single time I've had that instinct, I've been right. So, I don't know what to tell you. I've gotten people in my comments that are like, you know, super butthurt about my commentary about State of Decay, and it's like, you know, I'm sorry. I know you're looking forward to it. I know you're excited. You know, but the problem is you've bought into something that is a common marketing tactic. It is a common marketing tactic. They make something look really, really good and really, really shiny. And then when the game comes out, it looks nothing like what they showed. I love the term butthurt. It's one of the best internet idioms to ever exist. It is. I don't use lots of them. I don't like to do like the, you know, you're on copium. Like, I'll say copium for myself. I told people the other day, I was like, I'm totally on some copium and some hopium right now. You know, I tend not to do that, but yeah. Butthurt's a pretty good one. It's one of the best. Malding's also solid. Yeah, Malding's pretty good. Fable has no real combat. Yeah, I would say that the Fable combat they showed was real, though. That didn't look fake in the most recent thing that they showed. You've been wrong more times than ever being right. That's not true. Your account's 2 weeks old, so enjoy the ban as you're in here on an alt like a coward. Like, it's remarkable to me, too. Somebody comes in and says that, and then we get like a 30 viewer spike. Like, you guys in your little Discord. My gosh, what a pathetic life. People can't be wrong at times. When it comes to gameplay and it comes to the trailer analysis, I don't know how many times people have come back and been like, dude, you were right, my bad. I had people ridiculously furious with me about my day before coverage. Up my nose and furious. And that I was dead right. I said the same thing about Mind's Eye. I was like, no, dude, something's wrong. Something's fishy. This doesn't look right. The way they're packaging the trailer, there's 18 red flags. And I was dead on that bullseye. No, that's not real gameplay with Fable. That's simulated. Come on, man. That's not real. And it wasn't. It wasn't real. It was fake. It was simulated. And we finally saw Fable gameplay. It was blatantly obvious. Everything that they had been showing us up to that point was completely simulated. And then I'd made the same observation about State of Decay 3. What they showed us last year, I was like, come on. Perfect Dark was a super scripted slice. It was like in the engine, but it was like super scripted. It was essentially fake. Like, they did it, but it wasn't a guy grabbing a controller and like just moving through the game and playing. It was mega scripted. It was simulated, and you could tell. You can tell. There's always something inauthentic about it. It's like you could put your fingers on it. You're like, this is so inauthentic. I know what I'm looking at right now is like it's almost like you can see the puppet strings. You're like, I can see the strings. That's what it feels like to me. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I get that all the time. We need less passion and more smiling. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but the people that come in, you know, I don't owe them a smile. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to smile so you feel better about being told you're wrong. That's like somebody coming in here and telling me I can't tell what is and is not path tracing. Exactly. Like, you've looked at it enough to know you know the genuine article. Like, when you've looked at frame by frames of trailers and sliced up, you know, sliced up these things, slice up these trailers, analyze the mechanics, like you're looking for UI clues, you're looking for like menus. When you've been doing that for this long, when you see a game that has none of that and the camera keeps cutting and it seems just almost too perfect, you're like, yeah, this is probably simulated. Does your wife say you need to smile more? No. I don't get this passionate and animated in my day-to-day life. I wouldn't do that. Like, I'm a lot more jovial, and silly in my day-to-day life. Like, that's not a thing that I like carry into like day to day. Like, telling my kids things that passionately would be a bit much. Is that a Joker reference? I don't know if it's a Joker reference or not. Hang on a second. Okay. I'm getting things ready for our guest. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take myself a brief break as well, so that we can be ready to go here for this guest that we're going to have on the show. So make sure you guys hit the like button. Try to get us to 300 likes, and we will be. Hang on one second. Okay. Mag, it's not Mag. It is not Mag. But hold tight, hit like, do all the things. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, I will be back in just a minute, and we'll be breaking down a lot of the things been going on with a special guest. They've actually never been on the show before. That's your only clue. All right, let's get this going. Let's get this show on the road. All right. Pop this out here. I gotta do all this in secret. You guys can't see who it is. All right, there we go. Can you hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? He might not be able to hear me. Hang on. Oh, you can? Okay, I gotta give you a camera though. Okay. I gotta use this second fancy camera. All right. Let me make sure we're good on all these. What do we got here? Looking good, looking good, looking good. All right, let me get out of studio mode. All right, y'all. Well, for the first time ever, I want to just say welcome to the show, Mr. Cognito, Mr. Lord Cognito. How are you, sir?
Doing good, doing good. Long overdue in the realm of Reforge.
That's right.
We've been discussing for a while, and it happens. It finally happened.
And I got a lot of stuff to say to you. I got a lot of bones to pick with you. I'm just kidding.
Let's get it.
I actually am excited about this because it's been a ride. Like, we were trying to work this out, and you're like, I'm going to be at Game Fest. I'm going to be at all this stuff. And I was like, all right, we'll circle back. We'll circle back. And it has probably been a unique ride for you in particular, being at the events. And for those of you guys who don't know, check out, obviously, Cog. Here, let's get him going here. There's his Twitter handle, @Lord Cognito. And then you can check out the Iron Lords podcast, where they do all sorts of content. We'll see. We'll see if I ever make an appearance over there or not. We'll see.
I think it could happen.
But even given some of the stuff that just hit today about Xbox in particular, I wanted to kind of get your perspective on, like, what did it feel like? You were there. It was awesome. It was like this high point. It felt like the high point for the brand this gen, honestly. Which felt a little weird to not have it be centered to not have Phil involved as much, right?
Yeah.
But then you come back and not even, I mean, you probably weren't even unpacked yet. And all of a sudden, everything hits. Like, walk me through that. What was that like as a creator, as a fan, to feel like, man, the wind got yanked from the sails so quickly? Your camera's being funny on autofocus too. It's not focusing on you.
Maybe I can any things I can do to adjust, or is it still kind of all over the place?
It's like it's focused on the stuff behind you. I don't know. I just don't want you out of focus for the show here.
That would suck.
You know what I mean?
We refocus. I'll mess around with some settings, see if that. Usually, I never have any issue with this camera, which is kind of interesting. Because it's funny, on my side in the call, it seems okay.
All right.
Interesting.
Maybe it's just me.
With it? Okay, we'll roll with it. See
we'll roll with it.
If it becomes too much of a distraction, let me know. No, good question. Good question. Look, coming into this is a big showcase coming in, because this is like you said earlier, the Asha Sharma regime, right? This is the first one without Phil. And to me, there were two big things coming into it that really had my attention. The first one was the person who, I got my bones off of actually wanting to just go to a showcase as a gamer, like that, as a person who loves, Xbox and PlayStation and all the different platforms. My goal was like, I want to be in the crowd when they used to do them live, right? And be like, I'm there when they announced this game and yada, yada, yada. So at 2015, I somehow found out about Fan Fest, and they were like, yeah, this is a chance. If you fly out to California randomly, you and a select few Xbox fans will be allowed to watch the showcase. So I'm like, all right, bet. And I just kind of made the pilgrimage, and I was like, all right, let me see what this is. I get off the plane, and at that point, it's like this really cool, welcoming committee, and everyone's kind of like diehard Xbox fans. And it was one of the greatest experiences because at that time, we literally, it was like being in the mall waiting, like we were in like this high fancy mall, but we had to stay overnight and like sleep on the floor, and you kind of have this camaraderie. Like you're waiting for Jordans or you're waiting for a console to come out. And it's just this insane camaraderie, and everybody's there just passionate about the brand. So we get up the next morning, and then like Xbox executives at that time, Phil was there, and the whole leadership team, and yada yada yada. Like, you guys are our fans, blah blah blah. So we get in there, I think they gave us a couple of snacks or whatever it was. We get to the Galen Center of USC, and then from there it was like the Oprah moment. And you guys, not only are you going to go to the actual showcase, you're going to E3. The crowd erupts, so it became a yearly thing. Now, where I'm going at with this is now we fast forward to last year, and obviously multi-platform strat. The brand's in a different place. Apologies if you hear sirens. That's New York, New Jersey. I'm sorry. But so what happens is now they're stopping FanFest, and that there won't be one in the United States. So people were generally upset, because now it felt like you're turning your back on the fans. You have extracted all the information, all the stuff you got out of the console base. You're now multi-plat, and I'll be honest, it did not sit well with me at all. So what ends up happening is, again, now fast forward to where we are. Asha Sharma, one of the first things she announces, Helix is a focus, and now we're bringing FanFest back. Now, granted, there's no way she could know the importance of that. So clearly, someone had to tell her, okay, this is something that the community has been wanting. So coming into it, the return of FanFest, seeing everybody, usually, the most passionate fans, as well as new people I haven't seen in maybe 8-9 years, and then we get there, and then obviously the talk about exclusives are coming in, and then when you get to the actual showcase, I think one of the powerful moments was clearly the Gears E-Day. After about 2 or 3 showings, and then they start to talk about, okay, this is a console exclusive, which was very surprising. We didn't see that coming. And then obviously Matt Booty later on, there's a Clockwork Revolution, that's a console exclusive. We're like, okay, they are doing this. And the talk around the conference and prior and after was kind of like, it's a double down. And my only question was, look, I'm selfish. I'm here for the console, for sure. But my thing is, how does the business work, right? How does this work that you are going to be able to, in a world, well, as we're going to talk about, consoles are the priced consoles are because of this growing crisis and all these other things, and obviously you're not the popular brand. So yeah, basically after the whole situation, we're like, okay, great showcase, good games, and then to your point, the bomb drops. Studio B, Z, and D are all being rumored to be laid off, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. Yeah, and I got more thoughts on that, but I mean, that's my top level thoughts right now. I don't want to ramble too much, but yeah, it definitely went from a very high to a very low, and now there's a fear because it's like, okay, some of these studios are beloved. And at the very least, we understand as a business that if you're making RT games, and especially in the Asha Sharma regime, where it's about the finances, where it's about, not just about the finances, it's about big blockbuster titles, right? I understand slimming down and making that a focus, but at the same time, like, for example, Double Fine is one of the names on the list, right? We can make the argument, yes, Psychonauts, Kiln, Keeper, very artistic games that were probably not commercially successful. I think it's fair to say that, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I went to a GDC. I understand the importance of a Tim Schafer. I understand his contribution to Day of the Devs. He is beloved. It will be a political disaster worse than anything they've ever seen than a Tango Games work. They will be universally hated in the developer space. So a lot of these people are going to have to find a home. They're going to have to even, hopefully be given independent or have it be spun off. And we'll see how that works out. If, again, the rumors are to be true, according to Jason Schreier's reporting, we'll see what's up. But yeah, I got a lot of thoughts, man. It's a rough time right now. And we're just going to, all I will say is Xbox is going to look completely different, from my understanding, from a studio standpoint, as we get through the fiscal.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're going to roll over into January, and it's all going to happen. I mean, there's the new thing that just hit this morning. People are kind of questioning it because it did say the flight sim team They didn't say Asobo. They said the flight sim team. I was like, well, who is that? Apparently, there are people within Xbox that help with flight sim. Maybe that team's gone. Asobo's publishing stuff for Focus. Like, they got the new Plague Tale game coming out. Like, flight sim's not their only thing. So Asobo's probably fine, even though they may have funding no longer coming in if there's no more flight sim. My frustration with it was these studios were sort of sold a bill of goods. Like, hey, make creative games, get Game Pass looking good, and then now they're having to answer for a lack of sales. And it's like, but that was never the deal. Like, why would they be held accountable if we're going to talk about accountability margins? It's like, why are they being held accountable for stuff that was never really within the purview of what they were meant to bring to Xbox? They were not making Psychonauts 2 and Keeper and Kiln and Hellblade 2 from Ninja Theory. These were never meant to be chart-topping games. These weren't mainstream, Call of Duty or Gears or things like that. That's where I get frustrated. It's like, I think they should now be given a chance to flourish within whatever the new regime wants, as opposed to being like, well, this is the new direction, you guys aren't making enough sales. So that's where Ninja Theory especially had me heated. I was glad I wasn't live. I was like, I would have probably gone way not safe for work, because I was critical of Hellblade 2. I didn't like the direction they took it, but when I saw the page for Senua and they were describing the game, I was like, they're course correcting. They're getting back to their action roots. This is going to be great. And then as that unfolded, I was like, this is kind of grimy, man. You had them in the showcase. They're on the roadmap, and they're getting shut down like that. And they're a loss. I think they're an industry felt loss. Like, they're so good at what they do in that capture studio. From your perspective, if this is changing, how much do you think they're going to change Game Pass as well? Like, because that, I think, has also got to be on the chopping block.
I mean, these are questions that we have to discuss, right? I look at, to me, the biggest person from the Asha Sharma regime that I pay attention to is Matthew Ball. I've done a little research on him, and I came across his work like a couple years ago, and during the time, this was during the Phil era, and I approached heads of different third-party publishers. I approached even Philip. So I'm like, who is this guy? Because I don't like to just run with it, like sourcing, without information, without sourcing it and vetting the person. Like, okay, is this person legitimate? Every person I spoke to was like, Matthew Ball, excellent. Everyone in the industry uses his reporting. So I take a lot of stance as far as what he says a little bit more seriously. Not saying that what Asha says is not important, but basically what I get from it is that they're seeing a commitment to the big franchises, right? And as an Xbox fan, this is something that the fan base has lamented. How come Fallout's, you like hindsight 2020, no one could see that the Fallout TVC was going to be what it was. But now that we know that it is, why isn't a Vault Studios? Why isn't there a Double Down? How is there no New Vegas just on a remaster level? Why are the remasters ready to coincide with the release of a show? So you see these things. Halo, don't even get me started. It's absolute disaster at what Halo Studios did 343. Like, I can't get enough. Look, I ain't wishing for nobody's jobs, but at the end of the day, like, there's going to be a lot of people who will not shed a tear from certain studios, and I'll just leave it at that, right? That may be one of them, right? So you got that. Then you have Elder Scrolls, right? We saw this thing so long ago. What's the status? What's going on? How come, as Asha put out, why can't they move fast? What are these things that are blocking them? So to get back to your question as far as like, what I think is going on, and then as far as like the whole timeline, it's just, I gotta be honest, this is where she's been brutally honest, saying tough decisions are coming way ahead, right? Even when the Game Pass price drop happened, there was a caveat, and I told people to pay attention to the caveat. When you remove Call of Duty from that service, you have now labeled Call of Duty as the big title that is too big for the service. In my opinion, that sets a precedent. Now, is Elder Scrolls too big for the service? Is Fallout too big for the service? You know what I'm saying? So this is what we got to start paying attention to. And to your question, maybe Game Pass does change. Maybe eventually day and date goes away. There's a lot of things that I think that are on the table that are complete course correction. She has been, in the most professional way, exposing how bad it is from the past regime and what she is dealing with, the hand she has been dealt with, profit margins and things of that nature. So what I see is big games, Game Pass will continue to metamorphosize. And as far as to your earlier point about the RT, look, I hear you. You're not wrong. It's not fair for Ninja Theory, Double Fine, who were signed under the pretense of create what you want to create, but to feed into this service, because we have this diversity of titles. We have Minecraft, we have Call of Duty here, but you could exist right next to them because we're the buffet of gaming, right? And more subscribers. But clearly that strategy has failed. So now, unfortunately, these guys are going to be on a chopper block. And it's the sad reality. I'm not justifying. It's just the sad reality when a new regime takes over. And all we can hope for is they're given a proper home and not just completely killed off. That would be unfortunate.
I mean, I think I'm having your one of your business partners on the show tomorrow.
Ooh.
I'm gonna be hard on him. I'm gonna be hard on King because I'll be like, listen, dude. You know, because I was watching the show the other day and you were feeling kind of bad for Phil. You're like, man, I was like, and I told people the other day, I was like, y'all aren't loyal. Everybody's all of a sudden turning on Phil. But I also kind of feel, I wonder what some of these guys feel like, maybe you in particular. Like if you were kind of there up on those front lines, right? You were there, you know, you get to take the pictures, you meet them. We hear all the assurances that things are good. We hear assurances that this is profitable, this is working. And now we're learning that really wasn't the case. Like, there's a personal level there, too, and a professional level where, like, I'm interested because I was from afar. I was, like, the Destiny guy for 5 years, and then I got kind of thrown into variety coverage. And I was always a big fan of Phil. And then as the dust is settling, I'm like, I still feel bad that we're doing this, like, throw Sarah Bond under the bus, and now all of a sudden Phil's terrible and Asha's the best. But I do feel like maybe there is some credence to, like, this guy... He was handed a tough situation, but it sounds like he really just kept pushing the spend. This'll work itself out. But then it's like, well, now the company's in a terrible spot, and it's not all on him. But I'm just curious, personal and professional, how did that feel to feel like we were kind of promised a lot of things about this brand that weren't really true? We weren't really getting a fair representation here.
Great question. I think the Phil era is going to be studied. It's going to be studied after the dust settles. And my prediction is it will be looked at more favorable than it is now. But we gotta be accountable, right? As much as I personally like him, I won't say like he's a friend of mine, but he's an acquaintance of mine, and he's always been someone that I could get, for the most part, straight answers, and I don't abuse that power. I'm not trying to be executives friends and stuff like that. Nor do I have a lot of friends in the industry, to be honest with you. I'm just cordial with a lot of people. And one thing that strikes me upon meeting him and learning about him over the years was, this is not only he's a gamer, there's gamer sensibilities, and there's decisions that executives that don't have any of those ties won't understand, but gamers will understand, right? Now, the conflict becomes, how good does that work for the business? Right? You could have the sensibilities all you want, but do these titles sell? Do you have a 95 game of the year Metacritic game? I think that's fair criticism. Do you manage studios like a cool uncle versus a really good parent? Right? Because a cool uncle just give you money. Hey, sees you on the weekend. You know what I mean? But can you nurture? One of my biggest indictments on Phil. Love him to death. But under his watch, the initiative was closed. That's a studio you created. That's, to me, unacceptable. Halo came out of his mouth by saying, yo, if we lose our way with Halo, you know, that happened. And what it showed me, this is the gift and the curse, where you have the gamer sensibilities, you know what makes sense for gamers, but sometimes you may have a loyalty to some people in place who may be there too long, who from a leadership standpoint, from a culture standpoint, that you got to maybe put the kibosh on, and it's tough because maybe you're a little too close to the situation. That's it. But I'll say all this to circle back. Now, I know the thing is like, yo, look how Asha came in. Look how quickly things are turned around. Yeah. Let's be clear. Those are not her games. All these things that have signed off are not her games. These are all Phil's games. Even for I remember the Ninja Gaiden 4. I spoke to the heads of what you call it, Tecmo, Koei Tecmo, and Platinum. They said it wouldn't even be possible if Phil didn't factor it. There's so many stories like this about games greenlit, projects that are amazing happening that are because of even the acquisitions, right? Bethesda does not happen without Phil. Bethesda was on their way out, clearly. Todd Howard's coming off 76, and they were into, Save Player One. They were trying to, kind of pivot and then do kind of these weird co-op games, Wolfenstein. They were in a bad place. Todd's relationship with Phil and then the other former owner of ZeniMax, who I believe passed away, solidifies that deal. Now, what I'm trying to say, let's get back to 2018. This is the greatest of Phil. The problem with the Xbox brand is, if people have ever heard of his name, Terry Myerson, during the Diamatric era, they were looking for any reason to kill this brand. So Phil is directly responsible for saving it. And then when you get to 2018 and you get the Game Pass thing, then you get the studio acquisitions. A lot of the prerequisites for signing with Xbox Game Studios, I spoke to the Obsidians, I spoke to the Compulsions, I spoke to these guys. They told Xbox, we do not want any meddling. We heard about you. You meddle, you interfere. We will not sign with you if that's the case. So think about the conditions as to how he was able to get these deals. It's because of him. It's because of, hey, we're going to allow you to do that. Now, obviously, we saw how that worked out for some of them. It wasn't like Obsidian could work independently fine, but not every studio is created equal. So that's pretty much, I'm trying to give people a little bit more nuance and the perspective on it, because I get it. It's very easy to say, bro, you failed. He's terrible. This, that. The way I look at it is like this. He saved the brand from extinction. Like a sports organization, you go for the big trades. Yeah. You do the AB Bethesda. You go for the ABK. Now it fails. It does not work out. In your mind, maybe he thought, I'm just thinking 100 million subscribers. They did the math. It would pay. Game Pass would work out. It would pay for himself. None of those things happened. I do believe, I have a little theory, that the litigation with the FTC and CMA took way longer than they even anticipated. They even at one point thought it wasn't going to go through and tried to come up with a contingency plan. All of that takes away from things. But again, no excuses. Nobody wants to hear that. It didn't work out, right? Now that it doesn't work out, now you're forced to backtrack and say everything that you told gamers, exclusives, and all of that's out. So the bill is due. Satya and top level stakeholders, they want to see the results of this swing that you took. And now that ultimately, for anyone that says ABK did his demise, I'll take that. That's a fair criticism, I feel. And I think ultimately that's what happened. And then, he saw his way out, or tired, or whatever we would say, and thus we are where we are now.
Well, one of the things that frustrates me about it is, as you were talking, I've tried to say to people that I felt like Phil was sort of dealt an impossible hand, like he was tasked with saving the business. But I think, and this again is just a theory, I think the only reason he won that debate is he sold them an idea that Microsoft liked the sound of. We'll have the biggest subscription in gaming, and that you're speaking Microsoft's language. If he would have gone to Microsoft and said, I'm going to need a bunch of money to foster talent, to grow studios, and to make good creative games, and to really have, excellence in that, I don't think Microsoft would have signed off on that, because they don't speak that language. They're not a creative company. They don't have that in their view. So I do think that the only reason he won this debate, the only reason he got them to say, yeah, we'll back this, is because he's like, we're going to spend a bunch of money and grow a big subscription. And Microsoft's like, oh, we understand that. We understand spending lots of money and being corporate raiders, and we understand being takeover.
True. So true. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you just for a second. You're absolutely right. It's the monkey's paw, like the gift of the curse, that says that, like, he got them to the table of Microsoft gaming, but what comes with that? But right. I'll let you continue. I'm sorry.
And that's part of the problem, is that the strategy would have worked if they saw like the growth that that Netflix saw. Like if they would have been able to ride that and get the volume of subscribers needed, I think these smaller studios would be so totally safe. They'd be safe. They're like, nope, you're adding to the value of Game Pass. We're making tons of money. You're worth keeping around. But when you burn through all that cash, you plateau. They didn't properly protect Game Pass from churn and burn, because that's what people do. They sign up and they cancel. It's not properly protected from that. So it becomes plateaued, it becomes abused, and it's cannibalizing sales, and then the bottom starts to fall out. The frustration I obviously have is, like, we kept being told, like, oh, Game Pass is profitable. I'm like, how? I was like, how? You guys are spending so much money. How is this going to work? So I do feel it is nuanced. Like, I feel bad for him because I feel like he was fighting for the soul of Xbox, but the only way to get Microsoft to the table was with a deal that was just way too costly, that fundamentally goes against the principles of what we know makes for good gaming companies. Like, you make a great game, you sell the game, you make the profit. The subscription model with day and date was always going to be a tough hill to climb.
Absolutely. Well said. I think it's just one of those things that hindsight's 2020, and we look at it now and we say, yeah, definitely a big bet that did not pay off in the way the games are made and constructed, right? I guess not a counter, because it's not even a counter, because what happened is what happened. But I guess for me, is I always look at myself, I think sometimes as gamers, we forget to be consumers. And I think for me, I have to be honest, bro. Like, Game Pass made discoverability for me for games I would have never bought, never tried. And then as far as the ecosystem is concerned, it's just where I am as a gamer right now. I just like diverse genres. Don't get me wrong. I love my big blockbuster. I call it the hashtag just one over the shoulder Sony type experience, high fidelity, narrative, cinematic. Love that stuff. But I don't like only that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I like turn-based. I like puzzle. I like strategy. I like action. I like there's so many different things. And I can go over the years that because of Game Pass, I wouldn't have found a game like Kuritsugami, Path of the Goddess, which I'm in love with. Like, there's so many gems like that. And then I remember what I would say 2021 was what I would consider peak Game Pass. This is before the ABK acquisitions. You got an MLB to show. You got a Outriders. You're hitting on all cylinders with the first party. You got a Forza Horizon 5. You got a Psychonauts. You got all this stuff going on. And to me, I'm like, oh, that's the vision. I see it. Okay, if everything's clicking, right, you're supposed to have like a game a quarter, right? As a consumer, I would have loved to have something like this as a kid back in the day. Could you imagine having Game Pass back in the day? You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I don't know about anybody else. Like I said, I ain't rich, but like, bro, I come from the era where you looked at the box art and had to make a tough call.
Yeah,
damn, you know what I'm saying? I hope it's good, because I'm about to spend this $70 or whatever it was back then, right? That's what I came from. So to me, Game Pass, bro, saved me money. It was crazy value and discoverability of games I would have tried. Now the business part of me understands. Look, maybe that first party day and date, definitely a little too aggressive. Maybe, the like you made a great point as far as the ways to game the system where you subscribe. I know dudes would tell me all the time, like, bro, I'll signed up for a couple days and then boom, immediately canceled.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There was ways. So it's just like it ultimately undid itself. But I just want to get back to the idea of being a consumer, and during that period it was one of the best things, and we'll see how long it lasts, or what Asha and Matthew Bell and Ball and Matthew Ball and Booty have in store for it. We'll see.
I would rent games from a place called Tip Top Video, and they had like a little paper hanging thing. It was like a little circle, and if that little thing was hanging there, you're like, I can rent it. It's here, like the Nintendo 64 cartridges. Back when it was safe to rent, because you weren't worried about a disc being scratched or something, like, the cartridge, right?
Yeah,
and
hell yeah.
I've referenced the Xbox 360 era with the Xbox Arcade, and I'm like, I wish they would have just really doubled down on that idea. I tried so many games in the arcade, but it was a demo. It was like on a timer. And it was like, hey, if you want to buy this, did you like this? And I bought games and played them with my wife. It was like, there was one called like Crimson Alliance. It was just a dungeon crawler, and we loved it. And then there was a game called like Gatling Gears. And I've said for the longest, Game Pass was just that overreach. It's like, you guys really just need to get back to your roots of like game demos, game trials. You make it a perk, you make it a benefit. You could still have games hitting, just maybe not day and date, because you're trying to foster that idea of, we want you to try games that you might never try, because then you find those gems that you end up loving, and then you feel that just you almost feel like you discovered something. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I've been sitting outside this genre or this franchise for so long. And so I do like that happened, because I remember people telling me, like, I never would have played this game, and I'm like, that's great. There's other ways of getting that to happen, and I'm wondering, and I would actually hope that they don't lose that aspect of Game Pass. Because I do like the discoverability aspect. I love what they do with indies. I got to interview the head of ID at Xbox the one year at E3.
Was it Charla? Chris Charla? Was it? I'm trying to think.
I forget. I forget his name.
How do you look? Glasses? Oh, no glasses.
I feel like he had glasses, and he gave me like a little, like, you know, the D-pads you could put into the Elite controllers. He gave me like a D-pad that's ID at Xbox.
Cool.
Yeah. And he was super nice, and I remember being like, I love what you guys are, doing. You're putting indies in front of more people, and I've always wanted to celebrate that, because I think they make some of the best games. So I think she's going to restructure Game Pass. I think one of her hard decisions is that Day and Date has got to get the axe, and I'd love to see them lean into Trials. And people get really mad. They're like, I don't want to pay for Trials. And it's like, I understand where you're coming from, but that's a great perk to be able to have games constantly hitting a subservice that you can try out. Like, you really are benefiting from that. I do think that they gave away so much that is hard to walk back on. It would feel like a less than situation. My hope would be is that the dust would settle on the Rage, and people would still be like, this is still great. I'm still getting to try out games. And then they in turn buy the games when they like them, because they're I mean, looking at this year, the ocean of games, like we haven't really crossed that threshold yet. It's about to happen. On that subject of, we got Game Pass, we got game saturation, trying out games. Where are you on this? I mean, I think games are going to shift. I don't think everything's landing, because there's too many. They're all too close together. I think things are going to move around.
Yeah, it's got to. I mean, especially this year specifically, everyone is trying to brace themselves for the blast radius that is GTA 6, the 2 months blast radius. If you look at the November release date, Lodo, it's hilarious. Like, it's just like GTA and like Barbie something going ahead. That's the shout out to the team that's making the Barbie game. Like, they got full confidence in their product. Like,
get it, go after it.
Exactly. So you got that, but like the thing I worry about is like the new fall shelter to hide from GTA is September, and I'm looking at all these September. Bro, it's Wolverine, it's Bloodwalker, it's Doorwalker, it's Capcom's Onimusha. It's so many games, and there's no way that all of them can stay there. And I get it. No one wants to go head to head with the juggernaut that is, Rockstar. We've seen how big they are in the industry. You've transcended the industry when you're able to not have your trailer skip. You could have it skip the Keeleys, PlayStation, Xbox. No one's marketing dollars was enough. That you can just announce when you announce. That's a shift in the culture. This is going to effectively move consoles the way we thought it would, because it's next gen, current gen only, and it's not PC. So we get it. It's impactful, but people are going to have to move out of September. And I think if I had to guess, what seems to be happening lately the last 2 years is like February is like the new November. If you notice, like, there's a lot of February releases, great games that's going to come out. I know Fable, I felt did the smart thing and got out of there and moved till next year. But I suspect some more will have to move, because they're just cannibalizing each other. Just so many games. To your overall question, yeah, game saturation is real. There's just way too many games. There's not enough hours. Again, I looked at the Matthew Ball report. One of the things that always got my eye was how we're losing the attention war. How I'm old, so I'm Gen X, right? I play games. Console is my life. I'm like, everyone should be doing this. Gen Alpha, these other gens, they don't care about this. They've got their phone. They got their, what I consider their forever game, what I call the Sinister Six, the Fortnites, the Minecraft, Call of Duty. They just live in these one game, and they're content. And they're to the point where they're not even willing to upgrade. Right now, GTA should move the needle, because I always feel people will say, "Hey, those kids play their games," but GTA is such a, how can I say this and be nice? Like, GTA is that game for kids where your mom said you're not supposed to play that.
It's true.
That game, like, they doing what? You snatching what and killing what? Like, I'm from that era of hot coffee and all. Like, that was the game where you go, oh my God, you snuck away and you find a way to purchase this game. But basically, what I'm going at is just that, like, overall, the attention war. Then the biggest thing, bro. We're from the era where consoles got cheaper. As the gen went on, consoles got cheaper. This is insane, this AI crisis. What's going on? Like, it's to the point now. Who can I tell this kid, like, yes, you need to get into console game. You need to invest $700 for a Xbox or the PlayStation. This is insane. Who is this for? Like, to me, we're in country club gaming. like,
right.
We're this elite group because what it is, we got high spend. We're older, but these young guys, they're not doing none of that. And that's the biggest challenge. To circle back, as much as I love the exclusives, and I'm selfish, and I want Xbox to succeed, and I want the console to succeed, and to refocus. Who are you selling this to with these prices? And I don't know if that's a segue, but we gonna see the Steam machine stuff. Like, who is this for? Like, it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, the Steam machine is in a unique spot because I was telling people this morning, I felt like it was targeting more of like a more casual type of person who's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind having a PC for PC gaming in my living room, as well as, enthusiasts, but it's totally priced for an enthusiast. But then the enthusiast knows better. They're like, I could build a PC that's better than that for the same amount of money. I could walk into Best Buy and buy a pre-built for that much money that's stronger. So I feel like it's in a weird spot as a device. It's like, this was supposed to make it kind of easy to be like, oh, Steam in the living room, $700, maybe $800. But at $1,000 to $1,300, it's like, you're right there in pre-built land. So that's the first thing people are going to think is like, well, this is just like buying a PC. This is super expensive. What's the value prop at this point? Plug and play? That's a lot of money for plug and play. I mean, I told people today, I'm going to buy it as a business more than a consumer this time. Like, I bought the Pro both as a consumer and a business. This is more business expense for me. It's like, I don't know if I was a consumer, if I'd be dropping the change on this, because it's like, it's great, but it's also not really as great as I was hoping it would be, especially at that price point.
100% agree. I mean, I think from the creator standpoint, we have a technical curiosity. We want to cover it. We want to see what it is. And let's be honest, it's sleek. It's cool. I remember when I first saw the design, I'm like, all right, that looks cool. But again, I'm thinking based on the tech and the age of it, right, and the power, narrative. I'm like, okay, we're thinking in a normal world, $500 maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, nothing too crazy. But again, it just shows you the effect of this RAM and this AI crisis that's going on. And the fact that they delayed so long just goes to show you how much they were wrestling with price point and how to figure this thing out. And the only good that will come out of this is that PlayStation and Xbox get a chance to see how the market responds. Now, granted, they're not one-to-one comparatives. It's apple to apples. You made a great point. This is more of, I feel, an extension of the Steam family. If you're in the ecosystem, you might want this, right? But the hope, to your point, was like, hey, we were going to hope to get a casual, someone who was intimidated by what I would just don't laugh, the tweaking and twerking of PC that a casual guy is just a little too confused by, right? He just wants it to work. He wants plug and play. He doesn't want to deal with driver updates. He doesn't want to deal with any of that. He just wants to, get to his games. And now, the sexiness of that is taken off because, again, that price point, you made a good point about pre-builds and stuff like that. You might as well just get a PC. So, this is really, I'm really concerned for PS6 and Helix. I'll be honest, like, especially with the power, the PowerPoint, as far as the power narrative, as far as the disparity, how more powerful these things will be. Obviously, we feel there'll be some form of subsidization, but how much, right? And the reality is, if these consoles currently are the prices that they are now, they're not going down. They're not going down. And then Asha's statement was kind of alluding that we may see more based on the cost now. She gave the most transparent picture as far as the hardware situation. So this is brutal, man. And I'll be honest, as a person who loves consoles, I'm starting to see my mortality a little bit. I'm worried. Lodo, I'm worried, man. I don't know.
I memean, I think the PlayStation 6 is a pretty sure thing given everything they've already done, the contracts,
don't tell King.
What have you. Yeah, I know. I'm going to tell him tomorrow. I'm like, you just wait. No
Better
Helix.
tell him. Yeah.
You just wait. No Helix, because I think the Helix is up in the air. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like the way she spoke so candidly. I thought she's kind of laying groundwork to pull the plug on that, or to have somebody else make it, or to completely reevaluate what they bring to the market. Like, are they going to try to do something on the talk of exclusives that got us onto the Steam machine? It's like, if you're gonna do Gears of War, you're gonna do Clockwork, and the Helix lands in sort of the hemisphere we were all expecting it to, I was like, what does a console exclusive do for that? I don't understand.
Great point. It's a great point.
And so I could see the Helix either dramatically changing shape, or I'd love your thoughts on the exclusive thing. Like, this Gears thing is weird. They're saying things that don't really agree. I'm like, y'all are talking out of both sides of your mouth here. You're like, it wasn't a last minute decision. And then you got the guys from the coalition being like, yeah, it was never a plan. I'm like, it's on the end card of the trailer. Like, come on, y'all. Like, we can see it.
Are you implying that this was not scheduled, that this was not all in the works months ago, that this was some last minute thing? Are we implying?
It's ridiculous, dude. Just shoot straight with me. Just say, yeah, it was. We did it last minute. Asha's crazy. She's crazy. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
she's a maverick. She's a maverick. I will give you that in the sense of, it's clear, that these are decisions. Even when Matthew Ball spoke with Christopher Drake, the vibe I got, they were looking to see how much they could pull off PlayStation in the amount that that they've done in a short time. I was obviously shocked to see the Gears E-Day and the Clockwork from the standpoint. Look, Gears. Here's my thing. During the Phil era, when the strategy has now shown that it's not working, and they come out on stage and say, "We're gonna test these 4 games, Sloan. We're gonna test these 4 games to PlayStation." At that moment, I said it's over. It's over. This is them now slowly telling you they are positioning and transitioning to be a multi-platform publisher. Remember, Lona, I am a Sega kid. I've seen this song and dance before. So I'm like, oh, here it is, y'all. Get ready. See, and my Xbox guys, they're going through it. They're like, what do they do? I'm like, get ready.
You've been through the trauma,
I've been Dreamcast. I've been here before. I know how. I've interviewed Peter Moore. He told me how it goes. You know what I'm saying? From a standpoint of the focus groups, how the brand damage, how the brand is perceived, and then also from the fact that the console is not, not selling, and I get it. So at that point, you took the bet, you took the swing, it didn't work, the strategy didn't work, you are going to be multi-platform, and what I told my Xbox guys, said, look, be happy you exist. Some people didn't even get a chance to. You're still coming out with a console, but it seems to be more of an off ramp. It's kind of how I envisioned it initially, right? Because at the time, Sarah Barr was like, "Hey, premium device." Once I see that, I'm like, "Oh, $1,500." Like in my mind, I was like, "Okay, we're just doing this, but we are transitioning." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then initially, right, we saw some initial good sales. We saw like what the Sea of Thieves did okay. We saw Grounded, they said did okay, but the big one was Forza Horizon 5. So at that point, I can say as a gamer, hey, I don't like what you're doing. I don't like the brand damage. I hate that you keep telling me I don't need a console, but who am I to tell you if you're a corporation, you're going to corporate. You're going to do what you're going to do. There's nothing I'm going to do to change it. So it is what it is. But I'm just happy that you exist. I get the games. That's where I was mentally coming into this. So now Asha gets hired. And I'll be honest, Lono, I look at the LinkedIn and the resume, and I'm like, oh boy, Core AI. Oh no, she gonna strip my thing down to parts immediately. I'm like, it's over. I'm like, it's over, right? So I'm like, okay, here we go, and let me brace myself because I figured this might be coming. And a lot of people kept telling me, no, Cog, you got to hear her out. She's asking the right questions, and then obviously I see Phil kind of giving her some playbook as far as certain aspects during the transition of power stage, we'll call it. But when she hits the ground running, she does what I consider, because again, I know her background. Me and her had brief crossover at Meta. She was towards the end, but one thing that was on her feather cap is user acquisition, platform satisfaction. He really did a fantastic job with Facebook Messenger. She went to Instacart, transformed that thing around. So everywhere she goes, she's got like a 4-year window, turns it around, and then it's usually off to the next thing, right? That's generally her corporate MO. So I'm like, okay. So as she started, you see all these amazing small W's. Like in the baseball, I'm like, she's just hitting singles, hitting a little hill double here and there. No home runs just yet. But I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. She's getting a lot of, Xbox with capitals. Okay, whatever. My thing is, that's cute. You gonna have to make hard decisions though. Like I'm waiting for that's when the leadership part starts. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see what happens. And then I have to give it a first little solo home run, like bottom of the eighth, was probably the Game Pass price drop. That was big, right? I'm like, okay, and she commit to consoles. But where we go now is just like, okay, you've got to make these tough decisions. And that's what I see the exclusive thing as a surprise. I didn't see it coming. There was no timeline in my mind where you have a brand that's damaged, you have, the sales are, the profit margins are where they are.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, you have to be multiplayer, but this is the surprise. And then now Matthew Ball has been speaking. It's the double down, it's the triple down. So in my mind, this is cool. How does it work though? How does it work, especially in this climate? So the only thing I'm seeing short term is, okay, you try to get people back to the box, that you're going to have a new box for $1,500. You're still going to most likely still need PC. Fundamentally, do you change what Helix is? Is it a console now in the most traditional sense? Do you remove storefronts? You talked about the partners and stuff. Are OEMs involved? I'm from the era of 3DO where they had like a Panasonic one, not a Gold Star one. Is it the Helix is the one which is only back compatible with the library, and your third-party partners are cheaper and don't have the full Helix experience? Do you do that? Do you do Game Pass tiers, like, a la carte? There's creative things they could do, but it's still, you're losing money with Gears E-Day. Let's just call it what it is. Especially, you could consider Gears on some level live service, right?
Yeah.
Multiplayer mode, even though I can't stand the multiplayer, but okay, people to run around, dodge and shoot, that's them. I can't stand it, but I know it's a community. God bless. Horde mode though, I love Horde. I'm a Horde guy. They got a 12-player Horde mode. So like, again, don't you think, this would be something that would be, for the masses in multiplayer? And it looks like they're definitely willing to take the short-term losses to quote-unquote invest. We'll see how it works out for them. I don't know. I just know that the last thing I'll say in defense of the strategy, because I'm confused as much as you are. The only thing I can think of is that if we just go pure cold corporate, I'm going to put my corporate cog hat on, we go cold, and we look at the entire portfolio that went over to PlayStation and Nintendo, right? Yeah. Let's say, I'm just theoretically saying, let's say that's 12 games, right? Of course, you got Forza Horizon 5. That's the outlet. Oh my God, boom. And you got maybe Sea of Thieves Ground or whatever. But if you look at the rest, how much did they really move the needle, right? And to me, a big indictment was Gears Reloaded. That didn't seem to do well according to Linear Analytics. Maybe 1 million. I think there's a part of me that thought that when they put these games over, everyone's going to come in droves. And maybe they have assessed it's not worth the brand damage and the port. And let's see what, this happens if we keep it to ourselves and kind of build up the console again. But we'll see how it works. I don't know how the math's going to work here. But selfishly, I'm just happy that they have a console. I'll be honest about that one.
I didn't think Gears Reloaded did that well everywhere. So I would hope they wouldn't think that was necessarily an indicator. I also looked at it very differently. I thought, because I agree, Gears is prime real estate for live service. They even have listed, somebody found it, and they put it in my Discord. They already have like season passes listed. Like, this is going to be an ongoing game. I think the escalating horde mode sounds dope. I was never a fan of the PvP either. The first time I played it, a guy rolled past me and I turned into meat packets. I was like, I don't know what happened. I was like, okay, I'm not going to play this ever again. And but I always liked playing Horde. Beast mode was really fun too. I loved playing as a boomer. And I was like, okay, this would be a great game to kind of test that and see how much they can kind of garner rejuvenating the Gears franchise. But I looked at it from this perspective. I think they knew she was getting ready to start swinging a machete and it was going to be painful. And they said, we have to, at some level, create reasons to stay with us. Because if you don't know what's going to be an exclusive, it's harder to leave. If they would have walked out and Gears to Clockwork, everything going to PlayStation, and then a couple days later you hear this news, why be loyal? Why stay? It's like, I'm out of here. I don't know what, especially if she starts taking chops at Game Pass. Then your loyalty's really waning. It's like, why would I stay on this? Why would I stay here? You know, you've got a lot of people who've been on Game Pass not really building a library. That's pretty easy to leave behind. If you're like, listen, if you're going to start hurting Game Pass and I'm not getting big games day and date, I might as well pack it up and go where I can play GTA 6 and Wolverine and Gears and not miss out on, you know, PlayStation exclusives, but I can also get these games. So I actually think this was more of a retention strategy than an attention strategy. I don't think they were trying to get people to come to Xbox. I don't think they're delusional. I don't think they think that, like, oh yeah, a bunch of people are going to come over here and buy Xboxes for Gears. But it's really hard for their folks. Their long ride or dies. It's really hard to leave now. Because it's like, Gears looks good. I got to tell you, I think it looks good. I think Clockwork's got its own feel. It looks dope. But I feel this is definitely reactionary, and it's a way to keep people around, not necessarily to get people to buy the next box.
That's a good point. I mean, it could very well be that, right? It just kind of like, we know that, I believe the term, like, there's a very high spend, you know, sticky 35 million, let's just say, whatever it is, right? And you want to retain them. And she did mention that the minute the Game Pass price increase happened prior to her, right? That they saw this tremendous drop off in subscribers, and immediately, since they've course corrected during her reign by, you know, decreasing that, they've seen this tremendous stability and growth, and they're popping off about that. So that's a good play. I mean, for the short term, I guess for me, it's just like, I like the clarity finally, at least that I know what they're doing for the most part, and they're double downing. They still have to answer a bunch of questions for me, though. I still have my skepticism, and my skepticism is games. You know, at the end of the day, I love Obsidian. Like, it's one of my favorite studios, right? I call them the Black Rock affectionately. And the thing about Obsidian is the games don't necessarily maybe cost a bunch because they're kind of in a double A space, but Xbox propped them up in terms of like the Outer Worlds 2. That was a game that was at the end of the show, a developer direct showcase, right? And, you know, I look at Avowed, even though I like Avowed, you know what I'm saying? Even I'm not saying it's perfect, but I thought it was a great foundational title with amazing. I really love that game. But I look at them and I'm like, there's no way that they could be happy with what the actual sales numbers, especially when those games were multi-plat, right? They went on PlayStation day and date kind of thing. So I'm curious about things like that. I am also curious about, I like the idea of going the big blockbuster, your tentpole franchises, the Call of Duty. I like that. Don't get me wrong. They should be coming out more frequently. We should have different versions, genres. That, to me, was the vision when they made a lot of these acquisitions. So I do like the focus there with Asha. But what I'm concerned about is why I like Xbox is a diversity of games. So what happens now to you, like you said, with Ninja Theories and things of that nature, when it was completely unfair, they were creating and doing what they were told to do in the current environment. How does that work? Or are we just going to be only blockbusters, right? And stuff like that. These are questions I got to figure out. And the last thing I wanted to know from her is that studio management, you know what I'm saying? We've heard the stories about, you know, Halo Studios. We've heard so many culture. Why are the games taking so long and are so expensive, right? You know, these are questions I got to. Look, I love State of Decay, but look how long this game is taking, right? Even though it's looking good right now. Ninja Theory, look how long that game took for a 5-hour, 6-hour experience. You know, these are these tough questions that have to be answered. So, yeah, it's still a lot of questions on the game she signs off in her regimes with global publishing, first party, mergers and acquisitions. Then I'm going to get a better idea of how good a leader she truly is. Because right now, yes, you're going through your first snafu right now. You're in the thick of it now. Because people are going to attack you once we find out who this list is, this bludgeoning that's about to happen. The honeymoon phase is over.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna get real.
Well, I told people, I mean, I got a little flippant. I mean, you know me, I'll get wound up, and I was like, y'all are out here on Twitter acting like this is no big deal because the games didn't sell. They're real niche. They're real artistic, right? And I was like, okay, well then you might as well write your tweet for Clockwork then. Like, go ahead, tell everybody it's okay for that studio to get closed down. It's more artistic. It's more niche. They're limiting it to Xbox only. It'll be day one on Game Pass. It ain't gonna make a bunch of money. So it's okay for them to be closed down too, right? I mean, my frustration was I look at South of Midnight, I look at Hellblade 2, and I look at Psychonauts 2, Keeper, and Kiln. Kiln was a little too goofy for me, but I look at these as evidence of talent. I understand they didn't sell lots of copies, but it's evidence of talent which can be nurtured. And then it can be maybe focused on something that could be more mainstream or could have broader appeal. I hate seeing a game like South of Midnight because I was like, I wanted them to have another shot at this to do a better job with the combat.
Same,
right?
Thank you. Same thing. That's all I needed was better combat. And maybe a better ending and stuff. But yeah, I'm with you. Whatever. I'm sorry. Continue.
It made me think of Kena Bridge of Spirits. Same thing. It was like very cool game. Combat wasn't quite there. Let's get another shot at this. Now they're not owned by anybody, but that could be nurtured. And again, they showed evidence of talent. And I'm like, that's where Microsoft kind of frustrates me. It's like, you guys thought we'll buy stuff, we'll ship stuff, instead of nurturing and growing. There's a lack of like organic sort of botanical focus. Like, you got to think about plants in a garden here. You got to grow these things and nurture these things. You just keep grabbing stuff and trying to like staple it to the tree. And it's like, no, if you want to grow things, you got to nurture it, and it's got to be organic. And that's where I'm worried. Like, you guys really don't see that. The 18-month contract policy, if you read the postmortem on Halo and 343, it's like, that's so much on Microsoft. Like, yeah, 343, I'm sure there's leadership issues there that need to be addressed. I'm sure the company itself needs to potentially be, restructured. But when half the studio's on a contract, that's just ripe for horrible creative process. So that is what I look at. And I'm like, okay, if everybody's going big tentpole titles, Warner Brothers said this, no more niche, we're going with our big winners. Why? That's what makes the money. It sounds like Tencent's getting ready to spin off a bunch of studios. Yeah. Same reason. We got to back the big players. I see Microsoft taking the same track, which means enjoy Clockwork while you can. Anything in that lane is probably viewed as expendable.
Yeah, these are valid questions, and what I consider gaming luminaries and generational knowledge that will potentially be lost here, right? Because to your point, right, you lose a Schaefer, you lose a lot of these people from these studios. The problem is the games industry is so volatile the way it is, they don't come back a lot of times. Not everyone has a success story where it's like, okay, now we're going to go fund, Sideshow Studio and we're going to do our own thing. Like, the reality is they're gone for good. And to me, the key acquisition or the key replacement I'm looking forward to is who's going to be taking Craig Duncan's role. Because remember, he became like the head. He went from the rare head of Sea of Thieves, and then he became Xbox Game Studios. And I think Matt Booty got elevated a little higher kind of thing. Because to me, that's going to be the key. Who's managing the Xbox Game Studio family? What do they value? And then what's the new directives going to be, right? It's from a quality control standpoint, from a length of time and investment standpoint, because you still have to have people who know the art of making video games in these roles. And that's what I need to see. That the beauty of Phil was that, like, there were still times where you like, okay, that's a gaming move. And even though this may not necessarily bring millions immediately, this is nurturing something that potentially could be special with certain games or certain projects that were greenlit. So my thing now is, like, for example, like, case in point, one of the biggest things I loved about the past regime was, even though, again, these are not games that they made per se, I liked that they nurtured relationships, like, as far as Japan. Like, I hated that during the PS4 era and stuff like that, I remember when Capcom and Street Fighter wasn't on the platform, Tekken wasn't on the platform, Final Fantasy wasn't on the platform. These are things that, from a relationship standpoint, he understood these games are important. So now that you don't have that person with gamer sensibilities in there, right, from a leadership standpoint, who does she appoint to say, okay, game quality, gamer sensibilities, yes, we got to run a business, But from the Xbox Game Studio family, these are the projects we're going to need to be greenlit. That's going to be very important. I can't wait to see. And here's the catch-22 though. When you say, let's use Bethesda for an example. When you say, okay, Bethesda, in the new regime, we're cracking the whip a little bit here, right? Or we're going to give you the resources to get you going because we feel you're a bit slow for whatever reason, right? You tell that to a God Howard, you tell that to certain luminaries. Some of them it's not going to sit well. They're very protective of their babies to the point where we have on record that Obsidian, who did New Vegas, who many consider one of the better Fallout games, they've been yelling from the rooftops in the past, hey, we would love to work on a new Fallout game. But again, Bethesda has not been, I can only go by their inaction. Well, not that they haven't said anything disrespectful to Obsidian, but their inaction has showed me that Todd seems to be protective in a regime where Asha now comes through and says, okay, this is the new directive. Sometimes there's a clash, Lono. Sometimes we see things like Pete Hines say, you know what?
I'm out.
I'm good. You know what I mean? What does it look like if a Todd Howard says, you know what? After Elder Scrolls, you know what? That may be my last. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, we got to be careful of losing the luminaries with this new strategy. That's the other thing we got to pay attention to. And who do you hire? That's what I judge her when she, again, no disrespect, these are not her games. Gears E-Day is not your game. Clockwork, these are all Phil's games, respectfully. You know what I mean? So now, once those are gone, and now we get into 2027, and what are you greenlighting? You know what I mean? That's what I'm going to know everything I need to know about her because, the Xbox community get mad. I don't pledge my fealty right now. I'll be waiting to see. I got to see. It's like you got to earn my vote. This is a new presidency. You got to earn it. I got to see what's good. But I'm happy that the console is existing and you brought back Failure Fest. You did some real great small term wins that I think are fantastic. But now the real leadership starts.
I mean, I can't wait to tell King tomorrow that you're not holding the line. I'm going to tell him he's not holding.
Oh yeah, he accuses me all that. King is like, I'm not holding the line. I'm like, bro, but see, I get him because I'm like, see, this is what you can tell him when he comes on the ball.
Okay.
Tell him I held the line with my loyalty to Phil. As soon as exclusives came back on the menu, he betrayed Phil Dominus Spencer. Tell him that.
Listen, I was watching y'all, and I was like, I've got a clip. And I said, some of y'all aren't loyal. I was like, y'all turn your back on Phil. And I was like, I wish I would have been able to somehow put that clip in your episode. I was like, this needs to play right now. Yeah. I was like, some of y'all aren't loyal. Like, poor Phil.
Let me tell you. Listen. I will say this though, they got tired of Kumbaya Phil. They got tired. They turned on. It was one of those the Julius Caesar moments.
Yes, dude, and you too, Brutus. Like, come on, man.
At 2 King. At 2.
That's right.
As soon as Asha put exclusives on the menu, I will admit the resurgence in the brand and the fan. Like, bro, I will say this: she's good for business. She's good for I ain't gonna lie to you. She's good for the algorithm. I ain't gonna hold you. She's doing a good job short term for that. So you tell King that we understand, but we know who really held the line for Phil.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh. That era of time was an interesting one back then. But and it's funny too, you say about like protecting, like wanting to protect certain things. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Todd Howard is protective, like, because we know Miyazaki won't greenlight anything with Bloodborne, and there was an interview where he said that the Demon Souls remake was so good it put pressure on the team making Elden Ring. And I was like, I don't think these creatives like when these teams come from behind and do it better, or maybe make it look better. Like, I think Miyazaki he felt a certain kind of way, like, you're not going to make Bloodborne look better than I did. And Todd Howard might be like, y'all aren't going to launch a Fallout that's better, because he's sitting there with the blemish with Fallout 76. I mean, 16 times the details following him to the grave. Like, that is with him for forever. So yeah, I agree that she inherited just a surplus of games. Like, wow, what a lineup. Like, I did this the other day. I said there's 8 games between like now and next year. Or no, it's 7. I'm sorry. 7 games between the end of this year and the end of next year. If they all make it, unless there's more Senuas in the mix, rest in peace. Still mad about it. But then there's there's also the 8th piece of content is the Doom DLC, which is apparently as big as a sequel, according to the devs. Like, that's a big DLC for Doom: The Dark Ages. Yes. Very excited about that. I'm excited to get back in there to rip and tear. But it's like, man, if all these games make it, what's next? How are they going to fix this slow pipeline? I've continued to say I think Series S is a huge culprit in the slowness. We know it's affected third party. We know it's affected third-party timelines. I know people don't like it when I get on the Series S, but it's like, I think that's one of the central pieces of this puzzle, why games have taken so long. I think they have clauses about parity. I think that's why games were coming out at 30, and then magically later they were able to get to 60. But I think it's because they don't want them launching. They don't want first-party games hitting without the parity of performance. They can't have a 60 on the X and a 30 on the S. I think they need to drop that, like try to get these games out quicker. I'm also curious with the GDC thing. They were like, well, we're going to have you guys developing for PC first. When does Series X and S kind of fall off the battlefield here? I mean, that feels like it's fast approaching, especially if she's looking at pipelines and listening to developers and saying, how are we going to get games to market faster? I hate to break it to people. I think one of the first things devs are going to say is we got to stop building for Series S. We got to just start focusing on PC and, yes, probably PlayStation. They're bigger platforms. There's more money.
Here we go.
I'm telling you.
Here we go. I knew this was coming. This was going to be our first little pushback. But look, listen, I hear it. I want to be fair to you on your point, because we're not going to sit there and act like the elephant in the room that it takes longer from a development standpoint to develop for it. Of course it does. It's the way it's set up from a platform, from a memory standpoint. We've heard the stories. My only pushback is I have spoken to many developers behind the scenes, and I asked them, I said, look, take Xbox out, because I don't want to go to Xbox because they're going to tell me what I want to hear. And I want to speak to someone objectively who is developing. This is what I can say publicly, because he said it on Iron Lord's podcast. Okay. I've had Warhorse Studios came to come deliver us, and they were like, yes, there was some development challenges in the beginning for sure, but as a result of it, we were better able to optimize the game much better, and we discovered things that we didn't know. Now, what I will say, without being disrespectful to any developer, a lot of this comes down to developer talent and resources. Some developers have problem hitting 60 frames per second and getting their titles out timely and using the SDKs and the resources that Microsoft provide them, because we have stellar examples. Playground, you see Forza Horizon 6 on the Series S, man, looking pretty good to me. You see Cyber, but what I'm trying to say is there's tons more examples of games running well on it than there are the bad ones. Just that the ones that are bad, maybe like a Baldur's Gate, that got a lot of, that was like a Black Island. Obviously, I know Thomas Boiler is outside. He's saying a lot of things respectfully. All I'm just trying to say is a lot of it just comes down to developer talent, time, and resources. This is what I was told. It's no different than if we're talking from a PC standpoint. We're looking at SKUs, right? The majority of people on PC, let's just say theoretically, are running, I don't know, a 1080. I'm just making up, or whatever the baseline that they look at the majority of Steam users. Most developers have to develop for that baseline. And here's my pushback for you, Lono. Here's my pushback.
All right, okay.
The rumored about PS6, I know it's maybe on the docket or not. What is it? Canis and Magnus. Mm-hmm. Allegedly, Canis has this low power mode, which is, again, theoretically, but not exactly 100% Series S, but a lower spec slightly, that you're going to have to develop. Someone set the precedent for that. Someone made it available for others to walk after they crawl. Okay. That's all I'm saying. So yes, you are right that there are developers that lament it, but I am right, and that I speak to developers and they say, Cog, there's some people just not as talented as other people. And also, this is the part I will say, I will not say who. Some developers are performative and know the channels who they could go to to get answers, but for whatever reason choose to go to social media to voice their problems. And this is in defense of the developers, though. In the past, Xbox's process was horrible. It was horrible. It was to get an answer. I remember developers saying, "Hey, we couldn't get a human person, to get a hold of, and this is why our thing is delayed." And that's fair too. So that's all I say. That's my little pushback, though. I know the chat.
Jess is wrong.
Oh,
I mean,
good
listen.
here. Oh man, what about big haters?
Listen, if I get a PlayStation handheld, and it's playing these games on low power mode, I'll be like, "Thank you, Series S." I'll say.
If it's meant to scale,
you guys set the
allows you to
precedent.
play. But I get it. The truth is always kind of in the middle. That's all what you realize.
Right.
There's always that little gray area stuff like that. But yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. Like, I'm getting the thing that I'm most excited about PS6 is actually Caddis. Like, I've been wanting Sony to get into that space. Like, I'm a Vita guy. I'm a PSP guy. Like, bro, what pains? This is why, for those who like, why does he love Xbox so much? They don't got. I love the ability. Two things. You give me play anywhere. You know how, bro, with content creators, I travel. Bro, I can start my game experience on my Xbox, jump on a plane, continue it on my ROG Ally or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Get to my destination, have my laptop, continue that on my laptop. My issue with PlayStation is that I am locked to that console. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, I just wish I could extend the experience. And if you give me a handheld PlayStation with that fidelity, oh, I'm in there. I'm in there. Day one.
It's crazy. The PSP sold like 80 million units or whatever, and it's like 80 million. I was like, why aren't you guys doing this? And the market is so much more receptive to handhelds. I actually think I threw this into some content the other day. I think Hideaki Nishino just dropped the first hint about it in an interview. So he was talking about how this was the one where he wouldn't say it as explicitly as Herman Hulst said it about how they're not going to put their titles on PC anymore. Later in the interview, he talks about how they do want to focus on the PlayStation, but they also want to focus on people of different lifestyles. He references the Portal, and he says they're always up for a new challenge to bring more people in with different lifestyles. In the same interview, he talked about wanting to revitalize their presence in Japan. And I'm like, he's talking about the handheld. He's basically saying, because gaming on the go, handheld gaming is much bigger in Japan. They don't have as strong of a presence there as they do in America and Europe. And it's like, I think he dropped the very first little breadcrumb of that handheld is real. And I think they view it as like, if we could sell 80 million PSPs, like the market's way more receptive to handhelds. Thank you, Nintendo, for that. They sold I think when the numbers came out, there was one in every 4 people in Japan owns a Switch. Like, that's absurd saturation. So they're looking at it and thinking, man, if we could get a handheld in that market, we could be huge. They're trying to tap into the PC market in China. So on this note, switching to PlayStation, you're wearing the shirt. What are they going to do with Destiny? Right? Woo. Like, this is the big, like, okay, we got Xbox is doing bad, it's down bad. We got this Valve price, and PlayStation's like staying very quiet, but we know they're going to take their turn making everybody mad. I mean, they're going to, right? Like, layoffs are coming. Sorry, Bungie. It's a sad state. It's a sad state, but it's coming. Where do you see this? What's the Destiny versus Marathon? Like, people rallied around Destiny. They're clocking 1 million logins a day from a free update. I'm like, I would support this game. I wouldn't turn your back on this franchise. Where are you on this with PlayStation and Bungie?
So tough, man. It's so tough. You know our history, right? And that's our game. That's what we started with. That's the connecting thread. And man, just look, we know one day it would end, right? But not in this fashion. And I think what's the most painful part about the whole situation is Bungie's kind of been like this. They've had like 9 lives. They always managed to get out of a horrible situation in a way that you just think is impossible. They got away from Microsoft initially. They got their independence. You're like, okay, cool. Then it's like, okay, they swing for the fences. They get to Activision. We're like, okay, cool. They get these support studios. I'll never forget. Then what was it? The rumblings of frustration started to happen with Activision wanting content to come out on a consistent basis,
Yep.
and them not really being able to hit that cadence. They get the support studios. Then Activision publicly kind of humiliates them and says, "Yeah, hey, that Forsaken, that didn't meet expectation." And that's when we got the famous Luke Smith tweet, right, which was like, "Guardians make their own fate." Wow, they got their independence and they kept their IP. What? We celebrate. Yes, they did it. And then the mask starts to come off because you start to see, oh, wow, a lot of these bad practices are still coming from Bungie themselves.
That's right.
Well, let's be honest, right? The gouging, and I remember the experience frauds, and it was all type of little things that were going on during that time. Then they go free to play. We're like, okay. And they get out on multiple platforms, and you think, okay, at one point, I remember even one time they were in Game Pass. Remember when Destiny was in Game Pass? But
Oh my
beyond
gosh, yeah.
they've had all these different alley-oops. So then you go, okay, what is it? Final Shape, and you sit there, right? This is a perfect send off. They get over to Sony, and now the reports are coming out that before they got over to Sony, things were very dire, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were out of here, right? But Sony didn't say so. So then I remember the famous Jim Ryan quote, this acquisition is bigger than the ABK acquisition. This is going to transform us in ways that you didn't even know. We've got this live service initiative, and they are here to steward and help us because this is our deficiency. All right, cool. And then, obviously, Last of Us Factions got canceled, right? We assume there's involvement there. A lot of people were upset. People were like, hey, at its very least, it should have been a solid game. But okay, maybe it didn't work in the live service model. And then we started to see, again, I don't want to blame Bungie 1,000% because I don't know the involvement from each studio. But now that reports have come out, we do know whether it be Sony themselves forcing the initiative for like a Blue Point and all these studios that were once single player games to make, live service games. And obviously we know the debacle that is Concord. We don't even need to get into that, right? One of the worst things in the game. But the question becomes how much of Bungie's involvement is there with each said title and each said decision. And if there are some, there's going to be resentment. I know Tassie's come out with an article and said, this is no, here's the thing. When you do a corporate or financial meeting and you name a studio and do an impairment loss and say how much the value this has been devalued, what we thought we were buying, it's theoretically to me saying that we purchased the lemon. That's what it's saying to me. It's saying to me, you are not who we thought you are. And guess what? Now we're going to, as my colleague from last word, talking about Travis, we're going to brain drain the actual projects that you do have that are actually decent, Project Gummy Bears or whatever this thing is. And we're going to take that, extract that from you and make this Sony PlayStation Studios proper while you have a shell of yourself remaining. And here's the biggest indictment on Bungie leadership. Destiny 2 was your moneymaker. That was the one you took your eye off the ball for these greater things, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what the data told you at the time that extraction shooters were the new thing. No disrespect. Marathon's a great game. But you know what I'm saying, as far as from a niche of a niche, right? Mm-hmm. Did you truly think this was going to be this world-breaking thing? I remember they got the NetEase, the Destiny Mobile money. They had all these other projects. It started to feel like they started to expand a little bit too fast. And I don't know if it was Pete Parsons. I don't know who it was who sold, Sony a bunch of goods in terms of like all the things that they think they can do. And then here's the key. That's why I'm known as the Phil Spencer defender. I'll just wear it for now. But what I will say, remember the FTC leaks. The FTC leaks showed on Microsoft's M&A who their acquired target. Bungie was on the list. It had pros and cons. And the reason why they didn't do it, high burn rate. They did not suspect what they were saying was to be it, and thus they did. And listen, I know Phil, to this day, Phil's playing Destiny. right now. You know what I'm saying? Like that's his game. He was proud to get that in Game Pass. So I know that's an acquisition they would have wanted to made it, but they were advised no. And again, this is Bungie's own doing. So now fast forward now. It's sad, but bro, the game theoretically should have ended after Final Shape. I think we know it. It was the perfect send-off. It was a love letter. And then we saw the layoffs. We see what's going on. Now it comes down to, we're hearing the rumors, 50% of the staff's going to get laid off. That's half. Now you're a shell of yourself. And Marathon is the last running thing with Destiny not getting no updates. The saddest part of all this is there's the part of me that says, Sony, you don't trust them. I get it. They've ruined a bunch. I get that. And the cost of Destiny 3, let's say theoretically, is $500 million. In this climate, we're not signing off. There's the corporate side of me understands. You have done enough. This is what you are relegated to do, and that's all you're going to do, or we may shut you down. I get that. But then there's the other part of me that says, you badly, desperately want a live service game to succeed.
Tell them.
You literally have one in-house with a community that is willing to go to war and still play this dead game. You have a built-in for free fan base of a game that is yearning for a sequel. And to me, there has to be a medium. That's the only thing I hope Hiroki Totoki in leadership could come about as far as the pitch. Maybe the skulls, maybe you get someone else to help. But to me, to walk away from this franchise is criminal, you know? And hopefully, I'm just hoping that there's some point is a reassessment. I know it's probably, a super long shot. But yes, I'm biased. I'm selfish. I want Destiny 3. But yeah, it hurts, man. It hurts to see it end this way. Like this is not how I envisioned it. And unfortunately for Marathon, we still see the numbers where they are. And Destiny right now at its lowest is still higher than Marathon. And that's the part that's really telling.
I mean, they have me, of all people, cheering for the game in the studio. I'm like, and I said the other day, is if you can't put this layup in, then stop trying to do live service because you don't get it. Like, you don't understand the single most important piece of the recipe. You have it right there in your hands. Like, I think if Destiny 3 happens, it'll be undeniable that the community played a significant role. Guardians do make their own fate. Like, if this thing comes out, if this thing happens, it's like, that's because an executive somewhere said, that is potent. You cannot turn your back on that. Now, if you got to figure out, maybe don't build it in Bellevue, maybe try to outsource, maybe hand it to a studio, I don't know. Whatever you got to do to bring production costs down. If this is too expensive to make, then what are you going to make? What are you going to make that's going to make the money? I don't think Horizon Hunters Gathering's got it. I don't think Fair Games has got it, and you have all these great single-player studios. They clearly can't do it either, or they don't want to. I mean, Shuhei Yoshida said Naughty Dog didn't want to turn into a live service studio. They want to make games like Intergalactic, and Bungie walked in the room and they were like, you have no idea what it takes to support a game like this. It would change the fabric of the studio. And in Bungie's case, the mismanagement of the studio, the leadership, what led to this moment is at some level tragic because of what they had. They had one of the most successful. To now say that the game didn't make enough money is insane to me. I'm like, you made enough money to buy your independence. You were going to put a studio in Amsterdam. Like, you guys were going to get into movies and TV, but you didn't make enough money. I think they burned through cash way too quickly. Some of that's because of the salaries. I think some of the guys at the top were making an absurd amount of money.
Some of the car collection.
I mean, I think that made the company top heavy. I really did. Yes. And I think soon as the cash cow slows down, you've got to make up for the fact that, number one, what'd they mushroom up to, like 1,200 employees? That's huge. And then you got guys like Parsons and other just drawing huge salaries. And so I'm like, the franchise itself, this is what I argued the other day. I was like, the franchise itself at some levels outgrown Bungie. Like, the franchise has to live on. It's too valuable. And I think you're right. I think they look at that studio for, like, as you called it, brain drain. They absorbed 200-something people into SIE before they spun up LFG for Gummy Bear. They're like, there's too many people here. These people are too valuable. We're not letting these people walk away. I mean, an extra $1 billion in the acquisition was so people didn't quit. They wanted people to stay. So that's it. I think it's going to be very painful. Sadly, I think there's going to be a lot of collateral damage, a lot of layoffs. But I'm with you. I'm like, you have something in your hand right now that other studios would kill for. And the research shows the incumbent always has an advantage. Like whenever these new games try to come out, the established game has the advantage. Everybody goes back home. And I made this point the other day. I think it might be the strongest point that you could make for announce it and go silent. If you look at what happened with Silksong, we knew it was coming, and every year people were dying for the trailer. And then when the trailer comes out, it breaks the internet. Everybody loses their mind. When you could actually buy Silksong, it broke every storefront it was in for a couple hours. And then a little game called Kingdom Hearts 4 finally shows up. Everybody knows it's coming, and it finally shows up, and the trailer goes viral. People are losing their minds. You have that in Destiny. You do. You drop the thing. You say we're making it, and then say nothing for 3 or 4 years. And when the trailer hits... When that trailer hits with the right music and it would explode.
Give me goosebumps. Give me goosebumps right now, bro.
You just need that French horn slowly swelling in the background. Yes. And all of a sudden the logo comes up. People would lose their minds because there is something about it. When you give people a third space, when you give people a place where they exist outside of their life, they will come home. And I think this is just like so many other games that have finally given people what they want or finally dropped the trailer. I think Destiny is that. They do have to figure out production because I think I don't think their question necessarily is, can we make it and sell a bunch of copies and make enough money? It's, can we afford to spend the money on going? It's so expensive to maintain. Yeah. That's why I'm like, get out of Bellevue. You got to get out of Bellevue. You got to get somewhere where the cost of operating is not so insanely high, which I know it's tough because that means you might have to, relocate people or hand it to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the thing too about game development. This is also the sad reality we got to deal with. Is the fact that even though I know we use the Halo Studios and the contract example, and that was a fair example as far as like how it could go wrong, right? And it's like, okay, now the caveat is that they brought in contractors who were using a proprietary engine that people did not like, which is Slip Space or whatever it is. So the thought process is, how does Destiny move forward in a world where games are so expensive? I believe it's still, the Tiger ring? What was that spaghetti code engine we used to do?
Yeah.
The Tiger, whatever. So you got that challenge, right? Yeah. So it's got to be, you got to have to maybe redo things from the ground up. Does that fundamentally change what Destiny is? But does that get the production value, the cost down, and the overhead and stuff like that? Because I think what we're going to see, a lot of gamers are not going to like this, and this is across the industry, is we are going to see more contractors. I do think there's going to be a slimming down. Teams are going to get smaller. I look at, again, this is one example. I say that the whole industry is going to be like this way, but I look at a situation like Expedition 33. And, that was a unique situation. And I think I remember when I was going to GDC and I sit in these developer meetings and these talks and stuff like that. 'Cause it's like college. You get to learn so much about the games industry and stuff like that. Highly recommend you go. And you start to see like how they were operating, right? You know what I'm saying? And how they were brought people in. And granted, it takes great leadership up top in vision. That's the key, right? If you have the up top in the vision and the structure, then you can outsource and you can do these things. And what the hope is, I know it appears, and I'll defer to you because you're more tapped in with PlayStation, but it's just like, I would hope that Hiroki Totoki, Nishino, Herman Holtz, and them sit there and say, okay, there's got to be a way to bring this back that makes sense, right? There's got to be, and what does that structure look like? I agree with you. Maybe it's, you guys were too bloated, you were too big. Maybe the fact that you're in Bellevue, right? We know salaries, because the people always tell me this thing like, oh, well, Japanese studios, stay together and look at Final Fantasy. But also Japanese salaries are much lower. You know what I mean? Some of the people on the lower end are making pennies, and it takes years to up themselves in the tiers. So yeah, they stay together, but that's not indicative of how it is in the United States, where these salaries, living in LA, I'm in New York, like, bro, you can't, we could barely have a studio here, and we're trying to get tax breaks for teams to come here. The only one we have is Take-Two and Rockstar in this, because they make the biggest games in the industry. They're able to kind of survive. But that's the hope. And I hope there's a path forward, because I agree with you, man. It is a built-in slam dunk audience to nurture and build a sequel for. And that's what I hope more than anything.
Well, and when you look at the budgets with PlayStation, people are like, how is the Spider-Man budget so large? It's like, well, they operate out of Burbank. That's part of the equation. Right? Santa Monica. Like, these guys are all out there where the cost of living is so high. And it's like, so if PlayStation can't solve that problem, I don't know if they have what it takes to figure out live service. I mean, you can keep throwing stuff at the wall. They internally are very happy with MLB. The show's made them a lot of money. Helldivers 2 made them a ton of money. GT7, Gran Turismo 7 makes them a ton of money. I bet you Marvel Tokyo Fighting Souls brings in a pretty good amount of cash for them. But if you can't figure this out, I think it'll be a blemish. I think this is a bigger blemish than Concord, because it's an established franchise with millions of fans over the years, and history will just frown so sharply on you to say you killed that. Even though we would be like, well, nuance, it's Bungie's fault and the leadership. Right. And nobody's going to care in the history books. They're going to say PlayStation killed a huge, long-standing franchise. And that's a blemish you can't shake. That's not a Concord that in a couple of weeks or years becomes a meme and a joke. That follows you. That's like, hey, your live service efforts don't really matter to me because you killed Destiny. And I think that's why the franchise is worth saving from a pragmatic business standpoint, but also you got to think long-term. Like, I still think Blue Point was a short-sighted decision. It's like, they could have really helped you. You got all this IP. You can't have them remake anything? Like, really?
And then also, you got to look at Nixxes, right? I'm concerned about their long-term future, especially in a world now where they're moving away from the PC port day and date, and it's supposed to, like, just now keeping the single-player stuff on there. Where does Nixxes role figure in this as the PC porting studio, kind of thing? So they've got questions, but you're right. The strongest argument you said, it's always harder to be a new IP versus the incumbent, especially in live service.
Yes,
so they got to figure that out, man. Especially the ongoing day-to-day upkeep of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have no loyalty yet, and you already have that. Like, when there's no loyalty yet, it's such a hard stone to get moving up that hill, to get people to come in and keep coming back. They'll just go back to their home games. They already have a home game, and it's like, that's why I'm like, you guys got that. And a little inside baseball to put you maybe at ease on Nixxes, because I think Nixxes is safe, and here's why.
Okay. Break it down.
I have it on very good authority. They worked hard to keep Blue Point. They tried to find them something to work on. Yes, they should not have had them working on live service. They spent about a year trying to get Blue Point something to work on. Blue Point's own stuff wasn't good enough. They weren't going to greenlight any of it. And then the Miyazaki not approving Bloodborne thing happened. Blue Point did not want to become a support studio. And Nixxes seems willing to do that. Nixxes was helping with Sorrows. So Nixxes is working with Housemarque to bring Sorrows to the market, which is why I thought they're clearly not doing ports anymore if that's what Nixxes is doing. Like, that to me was one of the earliest signs that, they're moving away from bringing stuff to PC, because why on earth would you have Nixxes helping with Sorrows and not working on a port? I think Nixxes is more comfortable in that environment. I think they bring a little bit more pedigree, too, in that support. And I think with live service aspirations, you bring them in the room too. Like, get the game to the PC, get it working well. So I think Nixxes is safe, just based on some of the things I've heard, because that would be another massive loss. Like, Blue Point was a loss. I think that they had respect and pedigree within the industry. That was a loss. I do want to thank a super chat. Street Shadow with 20 says, my perspective, just because Destiny 3 or a new Destiny isn't greenlit now doesn't mean it won't be. When Totoki came in, he said Bungie has a spending problem. They need the right pitch for Herman to secure the money from Nishino. That, I think, is a healthy perspective, that nothing was going to be greenlit under the current leadership. I just don't think so. That you ran this ship into the ground. We're not going to greenlight anything. And they know a lot of these people are walking once that final payment vests next month. They're out, and that's probably going to really help with production costs, because these guys are dragging that budget with their huge salaries. Yes. So I think that is likely a possibility that you could greenlight it. And guess what? If you greenlight a Destiny 3. And I'm not trying to be crass, you don't need the whole studio anymore. You're starting over. You just need those early stages you would build up to support and staff. And I agree on the engine front. I think Tiger's too slow. You need an agile engine for live service. Because if you look at Bungie historically, when something's broken or not right, they're like, it'll take us a while to fix it, so we've just disabled it. And it's like, what? Like,
yes.
Like, you can't do that in live service. You know, you got to have agility. You can't be like, sorry, guys, we had to just turn the gun off or the grenade or whatever. You know,
Yep.
It's
classic Destiny.
It's classic Bungie, and that's not on them. I don't think they're inept. I think it's the engine. It's a slow engine. It's not fast. It's never been fast. To their credit, I mean, imagine them in an agile, fast engine. Like, imagine what they could do with something that was faster. Oh my gosh, that was always my take on Anthem. I was like, they built Anthem in 18 months. Yeah. What that team could have done in 5 years. Like, I hate to hear those things.
That one hurt. I remember that one. Oh yeah.
Looking to the rest of the year, I want to know we got this thing this week, man. GTA 6 pre-orders, right?
Yes, sir.
So where are you with GTA 6? Is this a game you're in there a lot? You're right. You're in there day one. Like, I've always been a little distant from the game. I did a sponsored stream once with GTA 5. And it was there were enough racial slurs in that stream for my career. I was like, this is making me so uncomfortable. I was like, this is not my vibe. I'm very safe for work. I was like, oh my gosh. And they were also saying words that, like, I was like, I'm very uncomfortable right now. So I don't know. I don't know how much I can hang with this game. Like, I definitely want to play it. I'm very interested from an industry perspective. But I don't know if I'm going to go the distance. I mean, people are going to make careers in this game. You know what I mean? Where are you on this? Are you in there? You guys going to be trying to cover it? You know, where's Iron Lords here? Like, you got some people that are like going to be your go-to GTA guys?
I mean, we Addict and I believe King probably more the GTA guys. I kind of align with you in the sense that, like, I understand the cultural relevance of GTA. I understand how impactful it is. I remember playing it for the first time, like, wow, this is really cool. All the possibilities you can do. And then obviously each subsequent one, the narratives got better. Probably the one that I connected with the most, only because I have a New York bias, was obviously 5. And, you know, I'm like, okay, this is home. You know what I'm saying, guys? This is like an accurate representation, so to speak, of it, just with fictional names of the boroughs. But it's one of these things where it's like, I'm probably going to be a part of the moment, but I don't know if I'm going to live in this game. But again, that's me saying it now. I could, I reserve the right to change my mind when it's in my head. And I'm like, Lord, I was wrong. Oh my God, this is mind blowing. You know what I'm saying? I reserve the right. But historically, I've never been a huge GTA, because here's my issue. The problem with me and GTA is not GTA's fault. It's, paralysis by analysis. I end up doing nothing and don't get missions. I'm just... oh, squirrel. Oh, I'm going to do that now. I create my own narrative, and I never get through the main stuff because it's just so much to do. Whereas, like, a game like, let me give you an example. One of the open world games that really did it well for me, because I've kind of cooled on open world a little bit, is actually Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotei. Because I like the idea of the wind kind of leading me. You know what I'm saying? And that sets me, that gives me a path, that gives me a little bit more foundation to stay on course with stuff like that. And I feel it encourages natural exploration in a more fun way to me. So that's where I really resonated with those two. But as far as like GTA, look, I'll be there. Rockstar, they're gods. We know what they do from a technical standpoint. Red Dead Redemption is also one of those ones that I really high praise. They're the guys. And one thing I will say, I know the languages and the things, they're not suitable for work. But one thing I love about them is that they have a knack of making a parody of society, and everyone gets to smoke. So when I watch the trailer, I'm like, yeah, that's some Florida stuff, right? I'm like, oh, that's Florida right there. I speak to Floridians. I'm like, bro, what's up? Yeah. Each subset seems to be represented very well. And I will be there for that part and to see where the narrative goes. It's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Florida, man, but it's also like they got the club scene, they got people twerking on cars, they got dudes in the bayou mudding. I'm like, okay, they're hitting all bases here. And it is pretty much a reflection of society. Like, if you watch the trailer, like, people are doing crazy stuff for clicks and for clips, and it's like, but people do that. People were dying down there, jumping out of boats for TikTok. I mean, they were breaking their necks. It's like, wow, GTA might be getting a little too close to real here with this trailer. I am very from a distance, like this is an eclipsing game. What it's done to the calendar is absurd. I remember telling folks, I said October is going to be a wasteland, and they thought I misspoke. They're like, what do you mean October? Don't you mean November? I said, oh no. I said just October, because nobody wants to be trying to sell their game when that marketing hits, because just their marketing is so powerful. I think that's why they didn't do anything before Summer Game Fest. I think that's why they waited. I think they're playing nice with their partners. They're like, we didn't want to Godzilla stomp on you guys. We're selling our game on your platform, for Pete's sakes, because they would have been eclipsing. And it's like PlayStation's got their stuff, Xbox has got their stuff. PlayStation's obviously got maybe a little bit of a bigger pull with Rockstar, just given size and potential sales. But they revealed the cover art. It's got like over 10 million views. I'm like, that kind of potency in the market is just crazy. Yeah. So with that, what are you going to do with all these games? Because I'm already, we're hearing rumors that like Onimusha might be earlier in September.
Yes.
But then I'm like, but a week later I got Wolverine, and then a couple weeks later I got Control Resonant, and then in October, a couple of games are braving October, Phantom Blade Zero and Castlevania Belmont's Curse. That they're braving October. I think Phantom Blade will be fine. I think it's going to have a big audience on PC in China, which GTA has no foothold there, right?
Bro,
what are you doing? I want your top. Is there a top game that takes that's got the trump card? Like, I'm playing this game no matter what. Like, what are your top three, and how are you going to manage this? They're stepping all over each other.
Bro, this is a content creator nightmare. Like this, bro, it's a nightmare. This is when you got to make the business decisions.
That's
and
right.
You got to be like, all right, I love you personally, but I don't know, man. It's going to be tough because we can't avoid GTA, right? So for me, the ones that stand out at Summer Game Fest, I got a chance to continue playing Onimusha. And it really, really resonated with me. I feel like Capcom is on a generational heater. To not be a part of that discussion would be, and I'm a gaming ninja, like Ninja Samurai. Come on, it's in my wheelhouse. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's gonna be there. The tough one, this is my weird, quirky card game. Like, I'm all about that Star Wars. What is it? The turn
Galactic
based
Racer. Oh, the turn based.
That one too. But the Racer and
Bad Company.
Bro, I'm there, bro. They talking. This is what. Listen, from a turn-based standpoint, XCOM 2 is, I consider, the GOAT of turn-based. I've interviewed Jake Solomon, and I feel like that is the pinnacle. War of the Chosen specifically is peak turn-based as far as the turn-based gameplay, as well as top-level, what I consider not base management, but just top-level management and difficulty. It was one of the most challenging games, but it was an amazing game. One of the creators from that team is now leading this team with the Star Wars game. I believe Bit Reactor is the developer. I forget the gentleman's name right now. I'm blanking it right now. But awesome guy. When I saw his resume, I'm like, oh, but here's the thing. For all you guys that like, hey, Cog, you always talking that turn-based. I'm not really the turn-based guy. Yeah, it's cool that I'm not doing it. They're giving what I've always wanted for you guys. High cinematic narrative, choice and consequence, Mass Effect style. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, whoa, we doing this with Star Wars IP and Jedi, like really, really event. So I am not. That's going to be the one. I'm day one. I don't care who is around. I'm playing that game. So I've been on that. I would say, then it comes down for me October. I got to do Gears. I'm a Gears guy. I got to see what Gears is doing. E-Day looked phenomenal to me. I like the destructive environments. Looks like they're doing it for a play. We talked about the Horde, stuff like that. And then it's probably like two others I'm forgetting right now. Control, I'm waiting and seeing. I know it looks amazing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm just waiting to see, just get a little bit more information. And who am I? What you call a Dawnwalker looked kind of cool too, though. That was it, Blood of the Dawnwalker, the Namco joint?
Yeah, Blood of the Dawnwalker. Oh, and the Star Wars game, I misspoke. It's Zero Company, not that.
Zero Company. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Oh, of course, Wolverine. Of course, Wolverine. Of course. That's PlayStation will be turned on.
Do you do that? Do you do that? I have blind spots for games. I assume I'm going to play it, so I'll forget. I forget games like that because I'm like, it's such a sure thing. I find myself constantly doing that, especially with like Wolverine, because I'm like, oh, of course Wolverine. Like I don't even bother listing it because it's like it's a guarantee.
Like, of course, it's Insomniac. Come on, man. Like, we got to see what they do. I want to see how they challenge. They take the challenge different from Spider-Man. Obviously, that trailer looked amazing at the state of play. I love I just have one nitpick. It felt like the suit had regenerative power because there was a scene where remember when he was on top of the truck, he's fighting it, and the guy's battering Wolverine, and then you saw like the mask half cut. I was like, "Ooh, that looks amazing! The destruction, the degradation of the suit." And then like seconds later, it was like, "Oh, it's back." So I feel like that's Marvel saying, "Okay, that's nice. You've got creative limits as far as what you can do, because they've got the deformity of the suit, but why did it instantly, come back?" Yeah. So
well, that's all I was hoping. It's not consistent either, because at the end the whole back's blown open and it doesn't heal. It's just there to be like, oh, this dude. Because I actually think that's kind of cool. It's a great juxtaposition of like he's totally fine, but the suit's barely holding on. Like, maybe somebody can make him some nanotech that'll like, it'll like repair itself or something. I don't know.
They'll have some narrative explanation, but I was curious about that. That was my own. It just made me suspend disbelief for a second, but that take anything away from the game. The game looked phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what they got going on with that one.
Now, I have a theory about the big sort of reveal from the summer, which was that God of War Laufey. We're hearing they had this thing planned as early as 2018. So I'm like, I got to go play 2018 again. I think there's all sorts of touch points where like her game's going to touch on 2018. I think she blew the horn. Like I've got all these theories, right?
Yes.
I think Laufey was supposed to come out this year. I think Rockstar messed all that up because they were supposed to be out in May, and I think they were going to have a very strong end of this year. I think they were going to go Wolvie like September and like God of War like November. So I actually think this is going to be one of those early February big drops next year. Okay. I actually don't know. Where are you with God of War? Like, did you like 2018? Did you like Ragnarok?
2018 I liked. I thought it was a good take. Now, I am biased. Like, I like the Jaffe games, I'll be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I come from. I remember playing, all those, and even the PSP version, which I absolutely love. I am late to this series because it's really more of a King series. But when 2018 came out, that was a moment. It was to me, this is an inflection point of what God of War could be, how he's changed. The boy, the son, just a grizzled, changed man after all these, decades or whatever it is of killing gods and stuff. And the Laufey thing was interesting. So when I saw the trailer, look, I know there's a lot of opinions. I get it. I'm here for the game. I want to see, does the game appeal to me? The thing that appealed to me, because I'll be honest with you, Lodo, I cooled on Ragnarok. Ragnarok, I don't know, for whatever reason, it didn't grip me the way 2018 did, and I fell off. Right. So when a Laufey, I'm like, okay, we'll see what's going on. Obviously, they clearly starting right from the beginning of 2018, literally from the title screen of 2018. As you see Laufey, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, damn, this sucks. I thought this was gonna be a heaven situation. This sucks for her. Like, damn, this is how she's starting off. So you watch your trailer, and the key thing I like the movement and the combat. That was the first two things I liked. The second thing is I am a sucker for like, I don't know if it's Greek mythology, where that when you're quote unquote dead and you've passed on to the afterlife and you're going to the river Styx. Like, I like those ideologies and other gods in here, and like, I think you could play with this, and there's a lot of possibilities. So everything that they're doing lore wise speaks to me. Okay, they got the little gelatin cube. Okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? All right, I roll my eyes on that, but it did look fun, and I was like, all right, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm a little bit more interested, in this one than I was with Ragnarok. I just felt like Ragnarok was a little too more of the same for me, and it just didn't hit the touch points that I personally wanted to hit. But I like where they go with this, and hopefully, Cory Barlog lands to play. But to your point, I saw the interview, and these seeds were apparently they wanted to tell this a long time ago, but they wanted to set it up according to his quote, right? Which was kind of like, hey, we don't want to just give you this right after. Now it's going to be more of a natural transition now that you kind of have some backstory. So, we'll see where it goes in the universe. But where are you with Laufey?
I was super excited because I like Deborah Ann Wall. Like, I think she's fantastic from Daredevil. And I loved the idea. I was like, well, if they let us play as her, she'll probably be way more agile and fast than Kratos. Because, like, Kratos is cool, but he also kind of lumbers around a little bit. And it's like, you know, Doc Dark's always making jokes about he can't jump. And it's like, okay, well, we could get, you know, and she could jump. We saw her jump and juggle in the footage. And I remember telling people, I was like, you know, if they do prequel, she'll have the axe and she'll probably fight a lot differently with it. I was like, or they could give her a sword. So when I watched this trailer, I was like, yo, they're giving her a sword. This is kind of sweet. Like, she can play way differently. And I just think they nail their craft. Like, the way they open that up, they let you see she's laying there, and that's the opening menu. You press X to start. I'm like, these guys have their way of delivering a game. And I was in. Like, the dialogue is, I think, going to fade with time because I think this is the wrong studio and game to try to act like this is a mistake, like it won't sell well. I'm like, I think this game's going to crush y'all. Like, I think it'll do very well. I do see the differences between 2018 and Ragnarok. I think Ragnarok was harder for folks. It got more branching, like, and you weren't, you know, you're playing as Atreus for a while. I think the pacing was harder because I remember playing through that section and thinking, I can't imagine replaying this. Like, I would never want to replay this. I would ride around on a yak and, like, talk to a girl. I was like, okay, this is, like, can you make this a cutscene the next time I play this?
Yes.
2018 was like a train that, like, picked up speed, and it's like you have this goal and you're heading there, and it's just the story and Baldur and the relationship with the Trace. Like, this is amazing. The branching nature of Ragnarok and the pacing, I think, I loved it still. There were some really poignant moments, like as a dad, I was like, this is phenomenal. But also I could see why it was a little harder for folks to hang with it. And then Valhalla was such a cool free update. I was like, these guys can just, they're good. They're good at what they do. I'm looking forward to it. So end of the year is, it's crazy. As a content creator, I feel it. I'm like, what am I going to play and cover and how, you know, because it's just me, you know, it's just me.
Exactly. I have the the fortune of being able to disseminate sometimes. Like, bro, I feel for you. Like, I feel for you guys. I feel for, you know, obviously Maddie, the Defining Duke. I'm like, I don't know how he does it because it's just like, you've got to make these tough choices, and it's a business, but at the same time, the heart wants what the heart wants sometimes. So you got the conflict there. So it's tough, man. It's just so many games all at the same time. It's one of the wildest years I've ever seen with a September, October release before GTA in November.
I feel like we're going to find out one day Maddie has a twin because how he makes so much. I see content from him and I'm like, there's two of you, aren't there? There's no way that you, I just started this Slops channel and my retro channel, and then I'm Defining Duke, and I'm like, yeah, there's two of you. I don't believe this. Either that or he's time traveling or something. How does he make that much content?
Bro, and make it a game.
Making a game. Yeah, I'm convinced. It's that little thing that Hermione uses in Harry Potter. He's like, he's jumping timelines or something. I don't believe it. Every time he's in my feed, I'm like, how are you doing this, bro? Like, what in the world? Like, gee, many Christmas.
He's a beast, man. He's a beast. What it was to be young.
I know. I was telling people today, I was like, man, I'm in my 40s,
Back
dude.
in our day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I started doing this 10 years ago.
Facts.
You know, I was telling people today, they were like, 20 years from now, I was like, if you think I'm in this chair talking to you in 20 years, you're crazy. I ain't doing this in 20 years, dude. I'll be a grandpa by then. You know.
I know. Hopefully, we got an exit plan by this time, right? Oh my God.
I'll give you 10 more. I'll give you 10 more. I put 10 in. More. I'll do 10 more. I can't do 20 more. I don't have it.
I got that. I can't cancel that law. Leave that to King.
You leave that to King. I'll ask him tomorrow.
King's got that covered. Ask him that tomorrow.
How long do you got, King? How long do you think you do this, dude?
Boy, kill, man. That's my cousin, man. He's hilarious. At least he's true to himself. He what he's here for. It's what he loves.
That's right.
He's consistent. I will give him that. At least he's honest about that. And that's all I care about. All right, brother. I get it.
Well, I'm excited to talk to him tomorrow. Dude, thank you again for being here, guys. It's Lord Cognito on Twitter. You can check out Iron Lord's podcast on YouTube. And that actually does it for me today. I'm ending there. I'm out. Like, this is my show ender. So, dude, thank you for coming on, man. This has been fun.
Man, for long overdue, man. It's just so cool to us to have our, full circle moment. I remember when I was doing the when Destiny was going through what it's going through, and bro, I had no idea I still had that picture of me and you back there. Guardian, what was it? Destiny Con.
It was Destiny Con that year.
Tampa Bay Fairgrounds.
Yep.
And I was like, yo, this was something, man. And again, to see where you are right now and doing your thing and stuff like that. One thing I like, respectful conversation. We could agree to disagree, but, just talking games. That's what it's about. And I think, it's important to have these moments. You know what I'm saying? I see people in the chat like, yo, this is so dope. Cog and Loda, I never thought I'd see it. This is what it's about, man. Everybody has opinions as long as we could be respectful, because at the end of the day, we all love video games. That is our common bond. That's our unifying. It's really cool to see you doing your thing. Always going to support the growth in that respect. And likewise, man, hopefully keep this thing going. But love that we did this. Was a lot of fun in the realm of Reforged Gaming. We did it. They said it couldn't be done. But we did it.
We did. And we'll definitely have to do it again. I love having people back on, so we'll circle back in the future. Yes. And sure. Appreciate you taking the time. Chat, hit like on the way out, and check him out over there, Iron Lords Podcast or Lord Cognito on Twitter. And with that, we're out. See y'all later.
Peace.
Dying for a phone, I'm perishing. Get me a phone, play.